Yo, wait, you don't see me yet. Let me get on camera. I'm covered here. Okay, hello. What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. It is June 11th. Yes, indeed. Dragon Ball Superhero is out in Japan now. Those of us outside of Japan will not get it in theaters until August. First of all, I hope you're doing really well. Let me know if I sound okay, by the way. Let me know if my audio is good. Goresh will be joining us here momentarily. He lives in Japan now. He's seen the movie. He has seen the movie. So, first of all, how are y'all doing? I hope you're doing well. My name is Danny. This is Geekdom 101, the YouTube channel, and we're going to be discussing Dragon Ball Superhero. And in case you may have missed the big words that are on the screen right now, we're talking about spoilers, okay? So we're going to get into some spoilers about the movie. I got the full spoiler synopsis up yesterday on the channel, and some of y'all have read it. I'm assuming you guys already know what happens. I'm going into this stream assuming you guys already heard about what happens. So I'm going to say this, all right? I'm going to say something a little bit controversial. I'm really excited to see this movie in theaters. I can't wait. B, some of the movie clips have leaked onto the internet, okay? I'm not really comfortable telling y'all where to find it, but it's not that hard to find, honestly. Clips of the final battle, clips of the stuff with Piccolo, some of the fights, and even some of the comedy stuff has leaked online, so that's it. Now, some of you are asking where can you watch the movie. The whole movie's not, I have not seen the whole movie yet. Okay, I haven't, but I'm going to bring Goresh on here from the 5'9 Gaming Twitch stream as well as his own YouTube channel to discuss the movie. He was the first person, I would say, that is a YouTube content creator that has seen the movie because he lives in Tokyo. And trust me, y'all, I really wanted to go to Tokyo to see this thing. I really, really did want to go see this thing, but what can you do, man? Like the COVID restrictions, like there's all kinds of controversy about like how long you have to. I'm gonna ask Goresh about all this. I'm actually gonna bring him on here in just a moment. So somebody said at this rate the entire movie's gonna drop tomorrow. You might not be wrong. Listen, I've been in this community online for decades. Battle of Gods took a while. It took a while before it leaked. Resurrection F, there were clips of it out. Then right around the summertime, maybe a month or two after it leaked. This movie, the leaks are Fast, yo. So we're gonna talk all about it here. So, like I said, I hope y'all are doing okay. And if you're having a bad week or a bad day, we're gonna cheer you up. Let me actually reach out over here to Goresh. Okay, hold on. Let me know when you are ready, and I'll call you. So I'm gonna give him a call here on Discord. And yeah, we'll do it. All right, 1,400 people, 361 likes. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you're stopping by. We have a lot to talk about, yo. We're gonna talk about Gohan's new form, which I was 100% not expecting it to look like that. I was thinking, you know, that whole Ultimate Beyond Ultimate was gonna be just Gohan with like black hair and a new aura, just stronger. No, they went straight up Gohan Blanco. What? And then Piccolo is not only yellow, but he's also orange now? Like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, who the hell would have thought this? I mean, it's just, there's so many things about this movie that are just mind-blowing, okay? Okay, one thing I'm going to tell y'all right now, because some of you guys are asking for it, I'm not going to tell you where to find the movie, all right? And the reason for that is because I don't feel comfortable. And listen to me. I understand that you guys want to see the movie. I don't know if I feel comfortable telling you where it's at because it's everywhere. I had a friend of mine in Japan record some of the screen. There's other people online that recorded stuff. Like, the clips are out there. They're out there, yo. I have not seen the entire movie leaked, but a lot of it is already out there. So, all right, we're at 1,600 people. Let me see if, okay, Goresh is ready. I'm going to give him a call right now, y'all. I'm calling this man right now as we speak. Stand by. Also, super chats are open if you have questions. I'll try to answer some questions, you know, from the chat, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of them because I'm expecting this room to fill up. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro. How are you?
Doing good. Hope you are doing well as well. I hope everyone in the chat is doing well as well.
Yeah, no, this is the first time we've actually spoken, and I kind of feel weird about it, bro. Like, okay, let me explain what I mean by I kind of feel weird about it. Like, I follow you, and like I know who you are, and I know you because of, okay. So we're gonna go back to kind of how I know you. A couple years ago, Rhyme Style told me to follow the truth. The dude, your partner, the truth, and
Right.
he told me, he's like, yo, follow truth because he needs help with investing. So I was like, okay, because my big thing like years ago was I would always tell Rhyme, you gotta invest, you know, for the future. So I did that, and I followed truth, and he never reached out to me about investing. Like, to this day. Dude, to this day, I'm still waiting for that DM. So if you're out there, Truth, if you want to talk about investing, hit me up. Because my thing, Goresh, bro, is that if you're a content creator, you gotta take care of your money, man, because it's important. Like, because nobody lasts forever. And then through him, I found 5'9 Gaming and Jamie Stone, which is on Twitch. And you will, first of all, let me tell everybody, Goresh lives in Japan as of what, a month and a half ago, right?
Yeah, recently moved here. Yep.
Yeah, well, I want to, bro. I'm a little envious because I freaking love Japan a lot. So go ahead now and plug everything you want to plug, your YouTube channel, your stream. The floor is yours, and we'll do more plugs as the show goes on. But I'm gonna assume that not everybody who watches me watches you, and vice versa, because I know that sometimes you cover the games, and I haven't really done that too much here. Mostly because like time and what I usually do, bro, is I let the gaming guys cover the games. Like I let C Reacts do it. Once in a while I'll do a video about the games, but I'm more about like the lore and whatnot. So go ahead, man. The floor is yours. Whatever you want to promote. Everybody check out Goresh, but go ahead, I'll shut up.
Yeah, so obviously my main YouTube channel is Goresh, Goresh. A lot of my brand was built on my Twitter account. Pretty big following over on Twitter. Same name, just add an X to the end because the name was taken and Twitter won't let me have the name. So
I can relate. I can
yeah.
relate.
And then 5'9 Gaming basically is a company that I started with a bunch of other people, and we cover, well, we started with just Dragon Ball based mobile stuff. But we're expanding out to other stuff as well. Like we have different channels for different things. We do general gaming, movies, media, entertainment, TV shows, anime, manga, all this, nerd culture stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, the website is just 59gaming.com. The name literally is 59 because of Goku. That's where our roots are in Dragon Ball. That's why we
So it's
started
not
naming
Royce
that.
it's not Royce the 5'9".
No, it's not.
Okay. 5'9", and for those who don't know, 5'9" is like the Go and the Ku.
Right. Yep. That's where we got the name from. That's because, again, our roots are based in Dragon Ball. We decided that's how we would connect back to that.
So I wanted to ask you, because I talked to you a little bit last night, but I wanted to ask you, and then for the people, we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Superhero, but I wanted to ask, you went to the midnight screening, which was afternoon for us. How did you end up moving to Japan? What's the story behind that? I'm actually genuinely curious about what kind of drove you into not only learning Japanese, but actually moving to the country. Because I'll be honest with you, bro, I love Japan, but I'm terrified of like moving to a different state is already a nightmare, but to a different country, that's probably got to be a lot of work.
Yeah, and especially for Japan too, because if you guys have never been here, like surprisingly, you wouldn't think that this is a thing in this day and age, but a lot, I would say 85+% of the population here does not speak English. So
Of course.
if you're somebody who doesn't know or understand Japanese that well and you want to move here or you want to live here, even just visiting, it could be tough. You got to at least know, like, I guess the best way to describe it is survival Japanese, like be able to get around a little bit.
Where's the bathroom at? Thank you
Right,
very
yeah,
much. Yeah.
Yeah, but essentially the story of me moving here, it actually is for work. I do have a normal day job, like it's for that. Um, I was doing a bunch of work. I'm a tax accountant, by the way, for those who don't know.
Oh, that's
So
real useful if you're a content creator. That is really useful, dude.
yeah,
It's funny because you wouldn't believe. I mean, you probably know this, but you wouldn't believe how many content creators don't even understand. Like, the kids all wanted to be YouTubers. They don't understand how much the benefits and also the hassle of self-employment.
right, yeah. There's a lot that goes into that stuff.
So you're a tax
Um,
an accountant in Japan now?
Right. Yeah. So my job in the U.S. was I was doing individual tax returns for people, and a lot of that consisted. I was doing kind of like 70-30 work, 70% work for people in the U.S., and then I was helping one of our teams that we have for people who are expats, Japanese people coming to the U.S. And they needed help with their tax return. Like, we have a group that specifies in that, and I was helping out with that group. And I like that work a little bit more than the work I was doing in the U.S. for U.S. people, U.S. citizens specifically. So I, engaged in the process of figuring out how to move over here and change my group. And technically, I work at a very large company, and the U.S. company that we have is the biggest one. But moving to Japan, if I want to transfer groups, it's technically a different company. So I needed to resign from my prior company and join this new one. But it's under the same umbrella. It's under the same name. So ended up doing that. Ended up moving over here. The process was horrendous because of
Oh,
COVID.
and also overseas. I mean, you're going over an entire ocean.
Yeah, I started this process to move here back in March of 2021. That's how long it took. And I was originally supposed to move here in November, but then Omicron happened and they reclosed the borders. And then
No.
it wasn't until May that they decided to reopen everything. So very, very delayed, and I ended up having to work an extra busy season because of that. But it kind of
Right.
sucked, but
But I mean,
yeah.
I respect your balls, bro, because like it does take balls to like leave the country, and especially because you're a gaijin. Like, obviously, and people might not know this, but some of the older Japanese people over there, from my experience, it's not that they're. I don't want to use the word racist, but do you get where I'm coming from? Like that Pearl Harbor
Yeah.
thing, like they still the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Some old people. Like I had a friend of mine go to Japan, and he was kind of racially profiled. I didn't get it, but it's still like. Do you ever feel like just scared, or are you just already comfortable with the way it is now? Like, I mean, now I guess you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here a bunch of times in the past, so I'm not like a stranger to the culture here. But there definitely is that type of feeling still. There's instances where, like, if you're a foreigner, no matter how long you've lived here, no matter how how good your Japanese is, some places, like if you're looking for like a new apartment or whatever, some places just won't take you because of that.
Wow, because you're a
it's thing.
gaijin.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what's crazy is, dude, and you know this too. If you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to talk about it. It's up to you. But the Yakuza owns a lot of they own a lot of places over there, and I remember when a friend of mine went a few years ago, he found by accident like a Yakuza restaurant and nightclub, and you can Japan only. You cannot go in there if you're not Japanese. You just can't.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me actually.
Well, yeah, you live there. So
Yeah.
when you went to go see this movie, let's talk about the movie real quick. You went now. You mentioned this in your review, and by the way, folks, I will link to Goresh's reviews in the description of this if you're watching it on replay. I've never seen a movie with the Japanese, and I kind of want to. Do they clap? I think you mentioned that they actually got excited for that final scene with Gohan, but are they loud? Because I've been to Japanese wrestling, and because I love Japanese wrestling, and they're usually really quiet, but they do like pop over big moves. Is that how it was when you went to go see the movie? Like, was it like a rock concert atmosphere? Was it more like, could you feel the excitement, or was it not really? You tell me.
So Japanese movies and movie theaters and the audience, very quiet, very, very. You know what's funny?
I like that.
I actually didn't even realize they did this until the first time I went to a movie here. Everybody sits through the entire credits, right?
I like that. I like that too.
As opposed to in the U.S. where the credits start rolling and you just leave, right? I mean, this is before the
MCU made you stay. Yeah.
But yeah, like. It doesn't matter what the movie is. The credits will start and nobody moves. Everyone just sits there and watches the entire credit. And I'm like, why? Like, why do they do this? But yeah, throughout the actual like main part of the movie, very very quiet. But the scenes that were hype, people were visibly like gasping and like stuff like that. You could tell that people like. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you. Somebody's talking now. Obviously we don't have numbers yet, but somebody's over here saying that Dragon Ball Superhero outsold Broly on the first day. That it had a bigger first day release. Can you vouch for that? Did you notice from the culture that people over there are more excited for this one than Broly? And I think if so, I think part of the reason is because of the fact that they kept the big last act such a secret.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't here for Broly, so I can't really attest to that, but. The reception for this movie, I will tell you, the way I bought the tickets for this midnight screening was literally the second it turned 12 a.m. I think it was a week prior you could start buying the tickets for this. The second it became 12 a.m., I instantly bought the tickets. And then I went back to look at the seating chart after I bought the tickets, and it was all sold out. So this thing sold out in like 2 seconds.
I remember I hit you up on Twitter immediately, and I was like, did you get 4D? And then you revealed that they don't have the 4D available yet. But I'm assuming you're going to go back and see it in 4D, right?
Yeah, I actually, the funny thing about this is you could actually prepay for the seats like 2 months in advance for the movie. But I didn't end up using those prepaid tickets for this showing. So I'm going to definitely use those again and maybe even see it a third time as well. So I'm definitely going to go see it again. But I believe the 4D version comes out, I think it was the 25th for whatever reason. I don't know why they delayed it so much.
You told me later this month. I do have some slightly breaking news here. I don't know if you know this, but so in Japan, I mean, you know this part, Broly, Resurrection F, Battle of Gods, and Superhero were released in IMAX and IMAX 4DX. but we didn't get that in the United States. I was told by somebody at Regal Cinema that we are going to have limited IMAX viewings for Superhero. That's very exciting news. So everybody out there who wants to go see this movie, you gotta see it in IMAX. I mean, you know, bro, the IMAX is like, you know, especially the true IMAX. I can only imagine how mind-blowing that final scene was. Dude, Goresh, yesterday, last night, I've talked about this, it's no secret. I did see some clips. I thought that the Gogeta versus Broly fight was a freaking acid trip. I'm watching like, dude, you got like orange Piccolo, you got like that cell ball that was like, you described it perfectly in your review, black with like green around it, and you have Gohan with like silver hair, red eyes. There were so many colors on the screen. It almost came off like a Porygon situation. Like I feel like people who with dyslexia might freak out over this, man.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, and I think a lot of that is due to the animation style too, like the 3D CGI-esque style, right? But I think just talking more about the animation stuff, like
Yeah, go for
that end scene in the 3D style really worked, and I wouldn't be surprised if the whole decision to make the movie 3D was specifically because of that end part. Like they just felt like they needed to make that whole part in 3D, and then in, I guess, response to that, just go ahead and extend that to the rest of the movie.
it.
Because
Right.
I think in a movie setting, with all the sound effects, with all the background music, like the visuals, everything together, that might have been my most enjoyable transformation slash like fights. I mean, when I say fight scene, I don't mean like it's the best fight in Dragon Ball. I just mean like that little section there was just insane to watch, and especially because I didn't know like what to expect either. So I think their marketing
Dude.
strategy really paid off for them there too.
Not just that, but also how incredibly secretive this was. So I have tried so hard. People are never going to really understand. And maybe someday when I retire from YouTube, I'll write like a book about it or something. But I don't think people understand how difficult it is to get information about something behind the scenes, like, you know, leaks and whatnot. Especially from a foreign country, because one of the advantages that I had for Broly, because I got a lot of stuff early for that, is that I knew some people in the Philippines and other parts of the country, or parts of the world, excuse me, who were working on the film. This was a whole new team. They made them sign, I don't know if it's an NDA or what, but they were super secretive. Like, I knew that Gohan had some beyond evolution thing, but I thought it was just like, you know, black hair and just like a lot of power. And then, like, when Chronicles revealed, because he had a really good source this go around, he revealed that, no, it actually looks different. I was like, really? And then you described it, and I was just like, wow, because you know, bro, like, Super Saiyan Blue was leaked for Heroes days before Resurrection F came out. Gogeta and Broly was no secret to anybody who was online before that movie came out. But they really kept Cell Max and Final Gohan a secret. Like, they did a great job. I will say this. I think I know. I might be wrong, but I think I know where DBS Hype and Chronicles got their information from. I'm not going to say it on the air, but I think I know, not exactly who it was, but where they got it from. And I don't think it was directly from Japan, because this thing was kept hush hush. And you know, bro, because you cover the mobile games, like, they normally would drop like Cell Max and Final Gohan the day the movie came out, and we know it's coming, but they haven't dropped it yet on global.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that. I don't even think the movie like itself has marketed the characters even still, right?
Not Cell
That's
Max.
pretty big, I think. So not Cell Max, not Gohan's new form. Those are the two biggest secrets, I think, still of the movie.
And the Orange Piccolo.
Yeah, that too, actually. So we have basically like 3 new characters slash forms that they haven't shown off in any official capacity yet at all. So they're still trying to keep this thing secret, even though the movie's already been out for over a full day now.
And knowing Toei, they're gonna release a TV spot at some point that does show Cell Max and say, hey, if you missed it, real quick, we got 2,500 people live. Make sure y'all leave a like, 800 likes. I really appreciate it. Let me get to these real quick super chats, Goresh, and I would definitely want to get your thoughts on some of these questions because you did see the film, and the way you described it, bro. Like, I loved your review because, first of all, you're very well spoken. But secondly, you described it like it was almost like, and if I'm wrong, correct me. When you're watching this movie, because this is kind of how I felt, you're seeing how unbelievably ridiculous all of this is. Cell
Yeah.
Max, Blanco Gohan. This is like the dirt worst fan fiction theory in history, and yet for some weird reason it works in Dragon Ball. Like the way you were describing a Final Gohan, Gohan Blanco, whatever, it was almost like you became a 10-year-old kid again.
Yeah. And I think you described it perfectly too. Like, it's just so ridiculous and over the top, but it works. I will say, like, that one image that people are sharing a ton on Twitter with, like, the Gohan and Piccolo looking at each other at the end after the fight, like with his hair and orange Piccolo. I think that is the movie satirizing itself with how ridiculous it is. I think it was intentionally supposed to look like kind of almost bad in a way, but it's supposed to look that way because the film is basically saying, like, look how ridiculous this is now, right? That was how I took that. I don't know.
But the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I think you do because you're in the culture now, is Toriyama, even though Dragon Ball is an action adventure series, he's respected because of Slump first and foremost, and he's of course a gag manga artist. So I feel like this is right up his alley. Like I talked to Anime AJ earlier about this, dude. This movie felt like this dude literally sat down and said, okay, people want the Namekians to have forms. I'll make two. People want Cell to come back. Okay, well, you know what? Fuck what everybody else thinks. I'm going to bring back my favorite form of Cell, which is Form 2, and make him red. And oh, look at Gohan Blanco and the bang. Goresh, the bang. Gohan's bang is gigantic.
Yeah. I think the overall design of that form, like what they were going for, was just an adult version of the Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah, and they know how, they know how awesome that scene is because you described it. I saw it like with the red going in his face, and he freaks out. The only thing that I do not know is, and I'm going to ask you this question because I haven't seen the whole movie yet. Is there any, and I really hope we can find this out, is there any foreshadowing to this form at all in this movie?
Well, basically the way it plays out is when Piccolo first visits Gohan, he's like, "You're keeping up with your training, right?" And Gohan's like, "Well, Goku and Vegeta can take care of anything bad that happens." So basically, it's Gohan accepting the fact that he doesn't have to be keeping up with his training because Goku and Vegeta can just come in and defeat whatever villain shows up. And then Piccolo's like, well, you never know. It's not really great to rely on them to take care of your issues for you. And then after Gohan defeats Cell Max at the end of the movie, now I didn't actually say this in my review, but this is a pretty controversial thing. Gohan looks to Piccolo and goes, "You were right earlier. I'm not sure if even if Goku and Vegeta were here, I'm not sure if we could have won this."
Wow.
So,
wow. Jesus. So is that implying that
yes,
Gohan might have surpassed Goku and Vegeta? Possibly?
yes, and I don't even think it's close because he was like ragdolling Cell. So if you want to go on the power scaling discussion, like, dude, Gohan is just so ridiculous.
But that would mean that Cell Max is more powerful than Broly, Jiren, Moro, Granola. Like, is that safe to say?
Yeah, I mean, assuming that you want to put this movie in the same continuity as the manga, then yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of controversy behind that. One of the things I had found out early about this film, because I know I broke the story on August 7th about Gohan being the main character of last year, but one of the things I found out early, this was actually before the movie was even like the Goku Day from last year, is that they were purposely going to create this movie to not address the manga So basically, the way they were coming up with this movie is for people who are reading the manga, like the more granola arcs, it's not going to really affect that story. And if you've only seen Dragon Ball Super the anime and Broly the movie, you can pick up this movie right after, and it's not going to really hurt. Like in other words, like nothing that like there's no ultra ego, like none of the things that were prevalent in the manga really mattered in this movie. And I think they did that. It was actually pretty intelligently done. Like I think they did that purposely. You know what I mean? Because not everybody reads the manga. In fact, internationally, the manga is not even translated in every language, but the anime usually is, or at least most languages. So it's one of those things that again, you were there. You don't have to read the manga for this story to actually matter.
No, you definitely don't. In fact, you don't even have to watch Super for you to understand this movie at all. Because I was with somebody who isn't really that big of a Dragon Ball fan, watching it together. And after the movie, they were like, "Yeah, I didn't have any issues understanding what was happening, and I enjoyed the movie a lot." So I think one of the big, I guess, allures of this movie is the fact that it doesn't like you don't have to be a big Dragon Ball fan, and you don't have to know the full story in and out to understand and appreciate what's going on throughout the movie. So that was a big plus for that.
How was the soundtrack? Because obviously there's those 45-second snippets. I'm actually shocked it hasn't leaked yet. I streamed the other day, bro. I was in love with this soundtrack, dude. How was it for you hearing the entire thing in the movie theater?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like during the hype moments, like when Gohan transforms, I wasn't really focused on the soundtrack. I'll have to go see it again to really focus on that part of it. But you could definitely tell that they put a lot of work into it. The one thing that I will say, though, is I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't have like a main theme for the movie, right? Obviously for Broly, they had one.
Yeah, you mean like singing, like a singing song,
right?
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So during the credits, it just played like BGM.
Yeah, yep, it did.
Yeah, that's very un-Dragon Ball-ish because every Dragon Ball movie has a music playing in the background, you know what I mean? And usually it's Kageyama screaming. So, okay. All right, let me get to these super chats real quick, and I'll of course ask you because I got to get to they're paying, and I don't like leaving them hanging. So your Sim enthusiast says, serious super chat. Do you think Final Gohan's on the same level as Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue, or below both? Based on what you just said, it sounds like he's above God and Blue.
Above Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego. If you want to take the statement like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and even if Gohan's above them now, you know how it is. They're going to. Yeah, it's a rat race. So Abu, yes, there will be spoilers. Mr. or Mrs. says, Big D, love the stream. Thank you. Jason Zeno Gomez, I added you on Instagram and sent you Gohan transformations. Yeah, people are sending me clips. Like I said, y'all, these clips are now. I'm not gonna. The whole movie hasn't leaked yet, but these clips are out there. Like they're and we were talking about this yesterday, Goresh, dude, bro. It's literally impossible to avoid spoilers unless you just disconnect from the fandom. So if you're into the manga, if you want to read like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Reddit, someone's going to spoil it for you. They'll either leave a reply or you'll see something in your feed or something. It's very, very difficult because these clips are everywhere, dude. And with Battle of Gods, it took at least like a month and a half for, maybe less than that, a few weeks, for like Super Saiyan God versus Beerus to leak. And then for Resurrection F, like when the Portuguese and Spanish dubs came out, that kind of helped. But here, it's like, I've never seen a Dragon Ball movie have this many clip leaks, like video footage leaks, the day it came out. Like, that's wild. So you said it was sold out. Do you know if any of the other screenings were also sold out?
Yeah, I know because there was actually a screening at 2 a.m. Right after the one that I went to, and I believe that one was also sold out. I'm not sure of any other ones after that because I remember I literally exited the theater, and I believe the movie ended at like 1:40, so I left at like 1:45, and the line was just ridiculous because I left the theater and there was people just lined up outside.
Were they talking about the movie? Oh, you mean coming in to see it at the 2 a.m.? Okay.
Yeah. The next one, like wearing costumes and shit.
So Joshua Sanfilippo says, it's impossible to avoid spoilers between now and August, so I'm just seeking them out now. How it all plays out will be my surprise. Well, I mean, unless the whole movie leaks, which is very. I'll be honest, Goresh, but this thing's gonna leak quicker than we thought. Alistair Alexander says, "I love your videos. Think you're the most knowledgeable Dragon Ball fan. Thank you. Is there any word on other countries like the UK getting a release date?" People have asked that question. I don't have a release date yet, but I know it's gonna be. The good news is it'll be this year. Oh, but this year could be all the way in December. Probably not, but you're not going to wait that long. Power Word Hug, thank you for a super chat. Hun91, the new forms are fire, don't understand the hate. It's been real controversial, dude. And the thing about it is, look, I'm so mixed on this, dude, because I saw the final scene. Like, I saw the scene where Cell Max creates the big green ball and Gohan's powering up the Makanko Sapo, and then Piccolo rises up from the dead and wraps his arms around him. And it was a beautifully animated scene. But I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm just watching it. I'm like, I would have... Dude, you know what this is, dude? This is like that Super Saiyan 5 image that was going around the internet 20 years ago. If you would have, can you imagine going back in time and telling your like 12-year-old self, hey, so in 2022, there's going to be a movie where Gohan gets a white-haired form and fights Cell Max. It sounds like such fan fiction schlock. It sounds like fucking trash. But for some unexplainable reason, it works. I don't know why. What do you think? What's your guess on this? You saw it.
Again, giant orange Piccolo versus Cell Max. Like, how do you get more fan fiction than that? But yeah, I mean, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I think at this point, it's just embracing like the insanity is the best way to describe it. Embracing the ridiculousness of its own story. And I think there's little tidbits in the movie that is basically it's the movie satirizing itself. And I think, again, that scene where Gohan and Piccolo are looking at each other after the fight, and Piccolo is just this big orange form, and Gohan has like this ridiculous looking hair. Like, they're just like, what the hell is happening? Like, that's literally what their expressions look like when they look at each other.
When they had Orange Piccolo, and I saw the clip, you know, Gamma 2's punching him, he cocks his arm, because the way when you describe like the one punch shot, I thought it was like a jab. No, Piccolo cocks his arm back and freaking swings and boom. So seeing it in the theater, Orange Piccolo, people have been comparing it to like Red Hulk, because you mentioned he gets bigger, and he is bigger, but is he like, Piccolo's always the tallest guy, but like, is he actually like wide as shit too? Like a fucking brick house?
He's much more built out. And there's actually a part where he de-transforms back to normal form from the orange form, and he loses a lot of mass once he does that. Like, it's a very easily discernible direct comparison when he does that.
What about Frieza? There was a TV spot that showed Frieza, and I had thought it was like they're talking about Frieza, but he's not in the movie. What was the whole Frieza thing about?
That was just it was a reference to, I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been when Sheila and Lemma were talking to, no, I think it might have been when Lemma was talking to Beerus and Beerus's planet, and was like, oh, I used to be a member of the Frieza Force, and then they showed like a very like 2-second clip of Frieza like turning around or something. That was it. I don't remember exactly when in the movie that happened. It was like a very, very quick 2-second shot of Frieza, though. There was nothing important there.
The one that was already released. Jason Zeno Gomez says, seeing Gohan transform makes me even more excited to go see it in theaters. It's going to be incredible with the surround sound. Agreed. Manny Alvarado says, is it possible for Gohan and Piccolo to use these forms in other future battles with Goku and Vegeta? I think absolutely. Do you get the sense, bro, that the way things have been going, we've got Goku learning how to master UI, Vegeta UE, so they got their own path. We've got Gohan with the white hair now, Blanco, Final Gohan, and we've got Piccolo now orange and yellow. This movie, bro, you know what it feels like? It feels like Toriyama was like, okay, in Broly, I gave you Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. In this one, I'm going to give you everybody else, and I'm going to be able to catch Gohan up to everybody else. This felt like it was like hitting the reset button. Like they're just catching everybody up to, like, you know, like in other words, evening the playing field so that Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are not the only people who are, you know, important. Is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think one of the reasons why they probably didn't want to include Goku and Vegeta too much in the story, and specifically suppress them from transforming or using any moves, is because they can't like they didn't want to explain all the manga stuff that happened. Right, that's my best explanation for that. But it worked as in two different ways too, because they could focus on other characters to get them caught up. I mean, there's still some characters they got to catch up. Like Frieza obviously needs to get caught up if he's going to be involved in some way. But
Oh yeah,
I think
yeah. Go ahead.
no, yeah. Now we have Piccolo, Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta, and Broly. Pretty much all. I mean, you could pretty much say equal footing. I don't really know technically how close it is, but yeah, I mean, they're all relatively on the same level now. So
Based on what you're telling me, it just sounds like Jiren and Hit are like yesterday's news now. You know what I mean? Like now it's literally become like Gohan, Goku, Vegeta. I'm not gonna say granola because that arc's not over yet, but we'll use the main characters, Piccolo and Broly, as the 5 big super strong monsters, and then maybe for like the next tier down, you can go to like Trunks and Future Trunks. I mean, with that Ikari form, and maybe like Kale and Caulifla in them, but like for example, this question right here from Depriest, he says, with Gohan actually getting a new form, is this a sign that Gohan will get close to Goku Vegeta's level of power and actually stay relevant to them? I mean, you kind of answered that with that line saying that you don't think that even Goku and Vegeta, wait, I'm sorry, let me make sure. Gohan says he's not sure if Vegeta and Goku would have actually been able to do anything against Cell Max.
yeah, I think from the best way I can remember it, literally what he says is, "I'm not sure if we could have won even if Goku and Vegeta were here." And that basically just goes back to prove the point that Piccolo was saying, like you can't always rely on them to do everything, right?
Which I like. I actually like that because what I'm hoping this leads to, since we have the Broly movie and we have superhero, I'm hoping it leads to eventually there being a threat coming to Earth or something where Goku and Vegeta and Broly are off somewhere else fighting a different enemy. So in other words, it's like what it was now, except Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are fighting someone else, and then Gohan and Piccolo are fighting someone else. So you have sort of two different, it's kind of like how in Star Wars, you have like the fight on the ground, the fight in space, and the lightsaber duel going on at the same time. Like, I feel like that could be an opportunity for them to give everybody something to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened in this one. Goku and Vegeta and Broly just like all somewhere else, whereas, the fight was brought to Earth, and I don't know if you remember, but the reason why Bulma didn't reach Whis was because they were eating ice cream and there was an ice cream bucket on top of Whis' staff and he couldn't see it.
I love that. Were there any lines in the film about Broly and Chila's relationship?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask. Okay, Mr. Andrew says, hope we get an explanation for power-ups. It's funny how easy it is for Toriyama to make people strong. I mean, this comes off like an ass pull. Still can't see Gohan's power at the same level as God Ki. Well, according to Goresh, this will be a debate. This is going to be a debate. David Ilna, or is it Lena, says, respect your Legends PvP skills, Goresh. Anyways, to get a private legendary PvP lesson. He wants you to give him a private lesson, bro, which sounds like the beginning of an adult film, the way he's describing it.
Maybe. I'll have to consider it.
Shayla Ortega Perez says, yo, Goresh and Geekdom. Goresh, appreciate the spoiler vid. I'm glad to be able to chill and smoke some good leaf while listening during a sunset. I hope you're enjoying yourself. The Young Family says, Geekdom, based on the little we know about Gohan and Piccolo's new forms, if we switch Final Gohan and Yellow Orange Piccolo with MUI Goku and Evolve Vegeta, SS Rage Trunks with Tien, that's weird, and SS Rose Goku Black with Frieza, how different would Tournament of Power be? Could they win? That's a complicated question. So I think what he's asking is, if we have Final Gohan Orange Piccolo in the Tournament of Power along with Goku and Vegeta, and then we put somebody else in like Trunks or whatever, could Universe 7 win? And I feel like that's a foregone conclusion because, and you said this in your review, dude, that they kind of nerfed Jiren in this movie. I'll be honest, I didn't like that.
Yeah, you were talking about the scene with Vegeta, yeah.
Yeah, you said that basically they were like, oh, he was never really that strong. He was just a better fighter. And that goes against everything they said in the anime.
Yeah. I don't really know how to feel about that. I still think like just straight up, if you are watching the Tournament of Power, it's very obvious, right, that he was just way stronger than
Way
everyone.
above. Yeah. Hell yeah.
But I think that's their way of like moving forward with like the next attempt at a power up for Goku and Vegeta. It's like, okay, enough just like brute forcing everything, like get stronger via this method or whatever it is, which kind of I guess goes in line with like how Whis wants them to learn Ultra Instinct, right? But I don't know. It was kind of a strange comment. I agree.
Yeah, it's weird. So, were there, and I had heard before you did your review that not every villain dies, and then we found out that Dr. Hedo is staying alive, going to Capsule Corp, and so is Gamma One. So, was there any? Because somebody asked me this question, I thought I'd ask you, even though I think I know the answer, but I'll ask you: was there any hint, like, of was there any hint, I don't want to say an anime, but was there any hint of something, another threat coming after in this movie? Foreshadowing.
At one point, like earlier on in the movie, Hedo talks about the fact that he can create as many copies of Gamma 1 and 2 as he wants. So maybe that could be something, but other than that, I don't really think there was any like direct hints at anything.
What's gonna happen, bro? You just gave me an idea. What's gonna happen if for the next movie? Because everyone was talking about Cooler, and everyone was talking about like Frieza recruiting Cooler, and then like I don't want to use the word canonizing, but like rebooting. What if Frieza kidnaps Dr. Hedo and forces him to make a bunch of Gamma clones, but they're actually metal Coolers? That could be a way to like. That could be a way to like I'm Goresh, dude. At this point, any schlock fan service is possible. There's a video I put out years ago that I got clowned on where I said there's no evil Goku, there's no Broly coming back or Trunks, and I said that because people were clickbaiting that shit on YouTube at the time, and I was wrong on all of them. They brought everybody back. I don't like. I think the rules are out the window now. I think they can do anything they want.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Giant Orange Piccolo versus Cell Max pretty much proves that. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, basically having the scientist, because this is a bit of a different scenario than Dragon Ball Z, right? Dr. Gero or Dr. Gero, however you want to pronounce it, was evil, right? So he had to go. Dr. Hedo is not evil. And there's a lot of different, at the beginning of the movie when they were like, Magenta and Carmine are meeting with Dr. Hedo, like they talk about Dr. Gero a bit and they're like, oh, he was he was a super genius. That's what they called him. No,
Right.
sorry. They called him a genius.
Right.
And then Dr. Hedo was like, oh, yeah, well, if he's a genius, then I'm a super genius. So he's basically calling himself smarter and better than Dr. Gero was. And so to have that guy like on the good side, I guess, could be interesting. But yeah, if like Frieza or someone kidnaps him, they could turn him evil again somehow. Because he was very easily manipulated in the beginning of the movie. Like it didn't really take much to get him on the side of the Red Army. So.
What was the mention of Red Pharmaceuticals? What was that? Because we had been hearing about that. Is that mentioned also in that part? Like, is that mentioned in the film?
Yeah, it was kind of like a joke though, because it was when they were in the car, like the car scene with Dr. Hedo in the beginning. He was like, "Oh, you're Magenta, the head of the Red Ribbon Army, which is using Red Pharmaceuticals as a front, right?" And he's like, "How the hell did you know that?" So it's kind of like a joke of like how easily it is to see through that, like cover.
Yeah. I'm gonna let everybody know the stream is fire. So okay, let me get this family tree straight. So Dr. Gero's wife is Vomi, right? Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Vomi or Vomi?
Okay. I don't know if there's like a correct way, but yeah, it's VOMI, obviously a play on vomit. So yeah.
And she looks just like 21. So you could assume that, yeah, that was an Easter egg. That's not like, I don't think that canonizes 21. I think it's just an Easter egg. And then they have a son named Gebo, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, they have one kid or two kids? Because I'm hearing mixed things about that.
It's two kids. The other kid is Hedo's dad, but you don't ever see a picture of him. It's just a question mark.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Gebo is 16, basically.
Yeah, it's the kid that they modeled 16 after.
That's insane. So you actually see him though, so does he look just like 16, or are there differences in the way he looks?
He looks pretty much identical, but I think he's wearing a different outfit, obviously, because he's not an android. Like he's not wearing a green thing. I think it's
regular clothes, right?
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And then Hedo is the grandson of Vomit and Garo, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. One of the things I had heard, now this is something that was implied, maybe not stated in the film, is that Hedo is like inspired by Garo or Jiro. I didn't even know they were related until you did your thing. So the Cell Max, like, is there anything in the movie about like Cell Max? And this is obvious because it's obvious because of the implications. But do they have any statements about Cell Max actually being based on the original Cell? Like, I'm assuming there was a conversation about the original Cell at some point in this movie.
Yeah, it's actually funny because again, it's the same car scene in the beginning with Carmine and Magenta and Hedo. Basically what happens is Magenta is basically trying to spin the Red Ribbon Army into being the good guys. And he
Right.
was like, Cell was supposed to be this big savior, and 17 and 18 betrayed Cell. And they turned on him and like, them alongside he calls like the Z Fighters the aliens because they're supposed to be the ones helping the Capsule Corporation.
Right.
Like them alongside the aliens, like turned on poor Cell and like killed him and betrayed him. That's sort of how he painted Cell. So he's kind of like idolizing him almost, idolizing Cell almost. And it's
Yeah.
very obvious later on in the movie too, because when Piccolo infiltrates the base, he overhears the conversation. And obviously at this point, Gamma 1 and 2 are completed, and Hedo really wants to be focusing on Gamma 1 and 2, whereas Magenta's like, I don't care about Gamma 1 and 2, like, let's talk about Cell Max. Like, this should be your priority. Get Cell Max done, like, let's go. So that's really how he views that.
So yeah, Magenta wanted to use Cell Max as a weapon of mass destruction, but
Yeah,
Hedo wanted to work on the Gammas because he thinks that they're righteous superheroes.
yeah, that's what he was told, yeah.
So the two Gammas have like slightly different personalities, right? I remember reading that like Gamma 2 is more of like a lighthearted character and Gamma 1's more serious. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Can
So
you?
when Piccolo follows Gamma 2 back to the base, like Gamma 2 gets to the base and everyone's like, "Hey, like, what's up, Gamma?" And Gamma is doing like the finger gun and stuff at them. Like, it's pretty funny.
Okay, so yeah, they got personality, and he's the one that killed himself, right?
Yeah, he's the one that sacrifices himself to try and get Cell Max. That scene, by the way, like I always talk about the animation being hyped for like the Gohan transformation, but like the scene of him powering up and like diving headfirst all the way from the top of the atmosphere into Cell Max, like that scene's animations, honestly, almost on par with the Gohan transformation. That was a ridiculously cool scene.
I can't even imagine, bro. Like he goes up. You said he goes up to like the atmosphere, like so he's almost in space.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I love it, bro. I love it. I mean, I haven't seen the film. Let me ask you this then, because I saw what Cypher wrote earlier. He basically, like, and I saw other people saying that, like another friend of mine, on Instagram had went to go see the movie. He says that it's better than Resurrection F, but not as good as Broly and Battle of Gods. But other people are saying that it's better than all of them. That some people have said it's the better of the modern ones. Where would you rank this movie in comparison to Broly and even Battle of Gods? Like, because Battle of Gods was like a fucking religious experience for people. So is this up
Yeah.
there?
So me personally, as like a movie experience, I like this movie better than Broly. But it's gonna depend on like what you want and what you're expecting out of the movie. Obviously, Broly, I would say that the fights as a fight, like as the Gogeta versus Broly fight, like there's way more fighting in the Broly movie, and I think the fight quality is better in the Broly movie. Period. So if you guys are mainly looking for good fights, then it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to top the Broly movie. But as a movie overall, as a piece of artwork, you know as the a piece of writing, I think this movie, I was more invested in this movie's story from the beginning to the end, as opposed to Broly, which is just alien brings monkey to Earth, fight ensues. Right, that's pretty much what the story was.
What was the intriguing thing about the story in this one? Like, what was it that hooked you? Was it the Pan angle? Was it the Gohan angle? Like, what was it about this movie that you think was the main driving point of the plot?
It was just the interactions between all the characters and showing like how they're living their lives now. And I think the disconnect from Goku and Vegeta to like the other characters really helped as well. On top of that, and honestly, it's the marketing aspect of how they were marketing the movie. too, because I went to the movie not knowing what to expect. Whereas for Broly, I walked into the theater, I'm like, okay, when's Gogeta happening? Like, when
Right.
is Broly transforming? Like, when is all this stuff going to happen? So the expectations were there, whereas for this movie, the expectations were nowhere because I didn't have any. So that was the big difference.
I want to ask you about Easter eggs, but before I do, let me get these questions out of the way because we got a bunch of them here. Wukong says, do you believe Gohan's new form was hinted in the Black Arc with SSR Future Trunks? I feel like half-breed Saiyans don't need God Ki naturally to compete. Well, you don't really need God Ki to compete because we've seen Golden Frieza power up without God Ki and take it to Blue Goku. So I don't know about Gohan's form being hinted because one thing that I know 100% factual, and this movie proves it even more, Toriyama's making it up as he goes along, dude. This was not planned. Like, I don't think this movie was planned when Resurrection F was being worked on. This is like, he's always been this way, but I feel like this movie, even though it did begin pre-production in 2020, I don't think that they had intended for like the Trunks thing to be this. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think either. I think if you're going to point to something that foreshadows this new transformation, it's probably the Tournament of Power training scene with Goku, where I believe he mentions like, "Oh, my goal is an ultimate form that's never been seen," like something like that.
Oh, you're right. Said. Gohan did say that, dude. I completely forgot about that line.
Yeah, so I think they were maybe thinking about how to implement that at some point, but now they actually were able to.
Dude, that makes perfect sense because if we go back in the, oh my God, this is a hell of a revelation. If we go back in the timeline of production for this film, we know that Toriyama turned in his draft for the Tournament of Power roughly around like December 2016, like early 2017. Wait, let me make sure I have that right. Yes, okay, I have that right. Late 2016, early 2017. And then the pre-production for Broly started right when Tournament of Power began airing. And then pre-production for this movie was right when Broly came out. So I feel like if he turned in his script or his manuscript for Broly, maybe that line about the ultimate form was like maybe he purposely did that. It could just be a coincidence, but I feel like it's more likely he may have actually put that line in there we wouldn't even get the payoff for that until now.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been an insurance policy, right? Like at some point they knew they were going to do this, but they just didn't know when, right? When they wrote that line. So I mean, I don't think they were like specifically like, oh, this is going to come in handy when superhero releases. Like it's not like it wasn't that deep. It was just them being like, yeah, at some point we're going to have this guy catch up to the rest of the cast, so we'll just put this in here.
I have a great question for you. This is actually from Journey to Freedom. Great question. He says, I just want to know if Goku, Vegeta, Broly, Whis, and Beerus could sense Gohan's new energy and were they shocked by it? That's actually a great question because I've had people ask me about that.
I actually was curious about that as well. There's no indication that happened. And obviously, the reason for that being weird is because they could feel Gohan's ki from Earth when they were on Beerus's planet during ROF, right?
It is weird.
So I mean, unless it's somehow linked to God ki and they can't sense it, I don't really know how they wouldn't feel it, right?
Right. Trinity Gaming Analysis says, from what we've seen on clips of Orange Piccolo, top 5 mortals now, maybe stronger than Golden Frieza. Based on what you told me, yes. Been following for 7 years now. Yeah,
Look,
I would.
The way I would, if you're going to directly compare it, is Golden Frieza semi-fought Ultimate Gohan in the Tournament of Power, and they seem to be kind of even, with Frieza maybe having a slight edge, right? This Piccolo just he one-shot Gamma 2. Like he beat him in one punch, and Gamma 1 is fighting like maybe a little bit underhanded against Ultimate Gohan. So I think that comparison says that Orange Piccolo is just above Golden Frieza in every way.
Oh, I mean, it just so that would imply that Gamma, of course, the Gammas are higher than Frieza. Did they at all? And I'm going to assume no, but did they at all mention Doctor? Because I had been told that Dr. Hedo is technologically, like the technology Red Ribbon has in this film is far and away more advanced than what they had before. And that's obvious from not only the Gammas and Cell Max, but also the Wakanda thing you told me about. Did they say anything about where they may have gotten this tech from? Is there anything even in the pamphlets that you picked up on about where this tech may have come from?
There might be stuff in the pamphlet I haven't had the chance, still haven't had the chance to look at them yet. In the movie, I don't believe they said where that comes from. The one thing to mention about Hedo as well, though, is he has he's both a professor and a doctor. So he has both designations, which is the main reason why Bulma wants to hire him for Capsule Corp, because he can make her look younger because he's a doctor.
I love it. Urayuan Pereira says, I think this Gohan form, which is awesome, is from the power of the Kai's ritual being done by the old Kai, goes beyond what we know. Yeah, I mean, it may have been something that was deeply inside of Gohan for a long time. He never really tapped into, because when he fought Majin Buu, and that was when we first saw him in Ultimate, he didn't really get mad during that fight. So he got mad because he thought Piccolo was dead, right?
Yeah, I mean, Piccolo literally looked like he was dead. His eyes were completely white, no pupils, and Cell was just holding him like he looked dead. His body looked lifeless. So that's I think why he just snapped.
They've done that fake out so many times. And Suku says, so I keep seeing Gohan's power up and it feels super, super sudden and underwhelming to me. Goresh, do you think the clips on Twitter give it justice? Great question. Obviously, it's not going to be like how I was in the theater, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think watching a 144p, no audio with, like, I don't know, built-in camera shaking, like, clip of the scene is not going to do it justice. I mean, you get an idea of what it looks like, but it's nowhere near the experience that I had, and especially because, like, I didn't know what to expect. I think that was the biggest thing for me, is I didn't know what the hell was about to happen. Right? It was pretty obvious that at some point they were going to have Gohan do something, because Piccolo literally gives him a senzu bean and was like you're the one who has to do this. So at that point, you're pretty much like, okay, like something's going to happen here, but. Yeah, I didn't know what.
And they hid that orange shit. They really hid that orange shit, yo. Hold on, let me see here real quick. Leo Solace 510 says, now that Gohan has a new form, how excited do you think Goku will be to fight Gohan? That's actually a pretty good question. But based on what you said, Goku, there was nothing about Gohan. Did Goku even talk about Gohan when he was on Beerus' planet?
No, they don't mention anything about Earth at all, pretty much.
It's exactly what I thought, dude. Bro, I said this the other day. The only reason why Goku, Vegeta, and Broly were in this movie is because for advertising, so that people can look at the trailer and say, oh, well, maybe they do something, and they actually don't. You can cut Goku, Vegeta, and Broly out of this film, and the plot would just work. You could actually cut those scenes out, and the movie would still be the same, right?
Yeah, they literally provide nothing to the actual main plot of the movie. That has to be an executive decision, bro. That's got to be a corporate thing. Your Sim Enthusiast says, evidently this has to be said. Geekdom did not say Gohan passed Goku. He asked Goresh and implied it. And he basically said, take it with a grain of salt. Well, I mean, it's just what Gohan said. Obviously, we don't know. Gohan doesn't even know how strong Goku's gotten. So it's just like when Goku said that Broly surpassed Beerus, but Goku never saw Beerus at full power. So it's just, it's done so people can debate. Amin says, any tease about El Hermano in the movie? No, but there is a Jiren scene. Yeah, they actually do show him, like, in the flashback. Look pretty interesting.
CGI, or is it actually cut from the TV show?
It wasn't cut from the TV show, but I don't think it was CGI. I think it was like a 2D different angle shot of him. Because in the beginning of the movie, they do a flashback to the Red Ribbon Army's history, and that was 2D. So
that's interesting.
That's how the movie opens. It's with a recap of who the Red Ribbon Army is.
So the movie opens with a recap of actually showing scenes from Dragon Ball.
It's not showing. It's.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard you. I thought you said it was showing scenes from Dragon Ball.
No. It's new animation, but it's recapping what happened with them.
Like the Dragon Ball and the Dragon Ball Z stuff, or just the Dragon Ball stuff would go. Okay, that sounds like the beginning of Battle of Gods. Remember the extended cut had that extra scene at the beginning?
Yeah, no, it is kind of like that. Yeah.
And I'm glad they put that in there, because a lot of the casuals like either didn't see Dragon Ball, which pisses me off, to be honest, or they never bothered, they don't remember it. So it's good that they're catching everybody up. Pedro's Lucario says, I can't see Gohan passing Goku and Vegeta that easily. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. And then Tribal Chief says, "Do you think Zycor was inspiration to Gohan's design? Do you think that?"
Um, I don't really know if that's true or not. I mean, once you see Gohan's form, I mean, you might have already seen it, but once you see it, I guess you can decide for yourself. I think the biggest inspiration was just Gohan's own Super Saiyan 2 form that he used against Cell. That was the biggest inspiration.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it just looked like that when I saw the clip. M26 Malfunction says, "Here, let's take a break from Dragon Ball series and wait when movie comes out nationally, then come back pretending it's still new to us, right? Right? I mean, if you want to do that, bro, but we have a lot to talk about because I have a feeling this whole movie's gonna leak at some point." Grim Reaper says, "The last fight looks like you choose a different color of that character in one of the fighting games, so it does look like that, like you're picking the alternate colors like Ken and Ryu." You know what he's talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah, one other thing I want to mention too that was funny is I actually forgot to say this in my review of the movie, but the first time Piccolo fights Gamma 2, you know how there's like those like basically those like comic book words that come up with like bang, zoom,
Yes,
whatever when he hits
I wanted
them?
to ask you about that. Okay.
Piccolo literally says like why are these words appearing?
I love that. You know what, bro? That's Dr. Slump Toriyama coming back, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking. I love this. Everything you told me so far, I love. Mystic One says, "If this was the slice of life movie, I can't wait for the next all out real battle. The entire movie, LMAO." Okay, the slice of life thing, based on your report. It looks like the only real slice of life stuff was in the first half of the movie, and then it just becomes all action in the second half, right?
Yeah, it's mostly just Piccolo training Pan, Piccolo getting a call from Videl, Piccolo visiting Gohan, being like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, apparently Gohan doesn't even have time to pick up Pan from kindergarten, and he tells him to, work on his training and stuff like that. And then I would actually argue that like Piccolo's infiltration of the Red Ribbon Army base, and then like him going to like fake capture Pan could also be viewed as slice of life because it's sort of still interaction between him and Pan. But yeah, I think the way that this film was marketed was it was marketed as more of a slice of life featured like piece of work, but that's not really what it is. It's just that they wanted to hide everything else.
It has to be, dude, because that was such clickbait. Because I knew, and I was telling people, I was like, it's not going to be slice of people. I think people thought that this movie was going to be like the baseball episode of Super or the Arale one, and I'm like, no, that is not what this is. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a Dragon Ball movie without at least one big fight in the last half. You just can't. Like, I mean, maybe the whole movie could have been. Let's pretend that the whole movie was them playing baseball, then an alien shows up halfway through. You're gonna have the fight. But so based on what you're saying, is it safe to say that the fighting is like 60%, 50% of the film? It sounds like it's more than 50%.
I would say yes, 60 is probably right.
That's good. Alistair Alexander says, "Anyone thinks Dragon Ball is over is stupid. Definitely not." Euclid 06085 says, "Is there hope that other characters like Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien could also get stronger somehow and be somewhat relevant like back in the days of Dragon Ball?" Probably not, because they didn't become more relevant in the Buu saga, except for Tenshinhan had that one comeback fight and for like one freaking episode. But I don't know, man. If I think Piccolo and Gohan are like higher tiers than those characters. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, Yamcha is literally viewed as a joke, so I don't think Yamcha has a chance. Chaozu is nothing.
No, nothing.
Tien is literally. I feel like out of like the lower tier characters, Krillin included, Tien has like the best chance of doing something, but I just don't see it. You know.
Ken the Man of Steel, me either. Ken the Man of Steel says, "What's up, Geekdom? I'm thinking about following your footsteps and doing videos in my own podcast. And you give me some advice on how to get started?" Well, the most important, I can't really give you too much advice because that'll take up the whole show. But the most important thing is to have fun first and enjoy what you're covering. Because if you're watching, because look, Dragon Ball is not perfect, but I still genuinely enjoy talking about it. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're gonna need to enjoy what you're doing, because you're gonna have some hard days at the office, and you definitely want to not have hard days at the office. You know what I mean? And if you do have a hard day at the office, enjoying what you do will push you through. So find something that you love. Jason Zeno Gomez says, it's like Goku, Whis, Vegeta, Beerus, and now Gohan, Supreme Kai, and Piccolo, Kibito. I don't think so, dude. I think that the era of Supreme Kai and Kibito was ended in the Buu saga. I think they're like cameo characters now. You know what I mean? I don't think that... I don't know. I don't know. I just don't feel that they have any relevance anymore. Lucario417 says the reason new Gohan and Piccolo forms work is because they finally made something that's not the Goku and Vegeta show. Agreed. Responding to criticism people have made for years, I want TOP2 even more now. Goresh. So one of the things that I've kind of thought a lot about is, does Toei and Toriyama actually pay attention to the fandom? And one of the things that it's weird, because I have a hard time believing that the Japanese actually read like Twitter and shit like that, or read Facebook or whatever podcast. I have a hard time believing that. But it's really difficult to say they don't know anything about it, because they've made Yamcha into a joke on purpose in Super. Then we got Gohan Blanco. What do you think about this, bro, when it comes to their perspective on fan stuff?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I would say that for sure the Japanese fan base is a lot bigger of an influence on their decisions, if any, than the US/ overseas fan base does, just because they're able to understand the criticism and comments better. But I think obviously they have to understand that this is the biggest, most well-known anime in the world, Dragon Ball, the IP itself.
Yeah. But it's weird, though, because they target so much of this to the Japanese first. Global always gets stuff first. This movie came out first. If they really had in their head that this is an international property, which it is, we would have got the movie next week. People have been asking me, dude, all week, why is it taking 2 months? I don't have an answer for you. It doesn't make any sense to me. If I was John Toei at the top of the office, I would say, release this thing within a week in the United States, Canada, Australia, and South America within a week of Japanese release. This whole movie might leak before it even... Dude, you know what's sad? This whole movie might leak before even the first English trailer comes out.
Yeah, I don't really know the reasoning behind that. But the only thing I could really think of is they were worried about leaks during the production of the English or overseas version of this movie, if it was going to be at the same time. That's the only
that's a great
plausible
point.
Explanation. Yeah,
that's a great point. No, that's a great point, because a lot of what leaked through Broly was from data mining and other things. That's probably why they chose not to release the Gohan, Final Gohan, and Orange Piccolo now, because the code can be hacked. So is it actually referred to as Final Gohan in the movie?
No, there's no name with the form at all. But the Piccolo form is called Orange Piccolo. Gohan's like, well, you got to give the form a name. Like, what do you think? And he's like, well, I don't really care what it's called. I'll just go with Orange Piccolo. So that happens. But the final Gohan form doesn't have a name.
So that does not have a name. Okay, because Chronicles made it seem like that was the official name. All right, Victor Perez says, if Whis trained Majin Buu and Buu was willing to learn and he disciplined, would he leapfrog everyone in the series in power? Possibly, based on what we found out in the Moro arc. But the thing about Dragon Ball, dude, is that everybody has potential to pass anybody at this point. We found out Frieza has potential in Resurrection F. Now we know that Gohan has it. It's gotten to the point now where it's literally like the inmates run the asylum, because anybody can be stronger than anybody. All they have to do is write it into the story. Even if it doesn't make sense.
Yep. And let me just clarify the Final Gohan thing, because I was messaging DBS Hype yesterday, I believe. He said that the way that he knew about it was his source confirmed it because of the novelization. He says that it mentions it in there, but the movie doesn't obviously talk about it at all. So that's he got it.
Is that already out over there, the novelization?
No, it's not. It's not. So his source has to have it before it released, because I believe that comes out on the 14th, and so in 2 days from now.
Okay, that's gonna leak everything out, anyways. And we might get more information. K Cruiser says, "Do you think this movie was an experiment from Toei or Toriyama to see if Dragon Ball can work without Goku and Vegeta all the time?" Possibly. I know it was definitely an experiment when it comes to like the 3D stuff and the CGI stuff, which I wanted to ask you about actually. But to answer your question, it was definitely an experiment from that aspect. Okay, you mentioned in your review that the movie looked better than you thought, but there were still some like 3D wonkiness. Like, what
Yeah.
stood out to you where you were like, "Damn, this looks ugly as shit"? Like, or was there anything like that?
So first of all, with 3D animation, either you do it right or you don't do it right. That's very obvious. Like where you put your money into. Obviously, they put a lot of their money and budget into the final fight, right? That was very obvious to me. But in
Sounds
terms of
like
like
it.
a lot of the slice of life parts, especially the Beerus planet stuff, the non like the Goku and the Vegeta fight actually was animated pretty well, but like the parts where it's like Goku talking to Whis and Beerus talking to like Chi and stuff, that part I would have much rather have preferred it to just be in 2D because there was no reason for it to be in 3D and it didn't look that great. It was pretty choppy, and the still images of characters didn't look the best. So that part, and then there were some other part I don't remember what, but that specifically stood out to me as being particularly low quality. The Beerus planet non-fighting scenes.
Here's a genius here in the chat room. Geekdom, you're a good dude, but you over-explain your point, your hour-long cast. Homeboy, this is a freaking stream, not a video. That's why it's over an hour long. Brain rot, bro. People have brain worms. So, so I'm sorry, bro. Just that's like one of the stupidest comments I've gotten all night. Nick Coleman says, "I'm tired of these OC Tumblr art recolorings for new transformations. We were spoiled with DBS Broly. I'm glad I stopped watching after GT." Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Well, what did you think about Cell Max, bro? Because that is a big point of contention. Some people seem to
Yeah.
hate Cell Max and some like it. I'm mixed on it. I've seen comments they were like, "Oh, I wish it was the original Cell." Then I've seen people say, "Oh, I like that's a new character."
A part of me was hoping that because they explained that his weakness is the top of his head, right? You break through his head, and then Hedo programmed a failsafe that would explode and destroy every cell in his body to completely get rid of him. If his head was like cracked open, I was partially expecting Gohan to destroy Cell's head, and then the actual like OG final perfect form Cell would come out, and that would be the actual final fight. Part of me was hoping that would happen and expecting it to happen, but Cell Max as a villain, it's hard to really say he's even a villain. I think people are looking at this movie and like, okay, Cell Max is the villain. Well, the villain is the Red Ribbon Army. That's what it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
It's not just supposed to be Cell Max. So you could look at it that way. I would have I'm a villain guy. I like my villains. I think it's really important to have a villain that motivates the actions of the protagonist.
So you're not really into the Frankenstein
I
monster.
Yeah, I would have preferred to have like a villain that actually knows how to like push the buttons of the protagonist, kind of like how the original Cell did. I'm not saying we needed to have the same exact original Cell back, but it's like they got Wakamoto back to voice Cell Max, but he's just screaming the whole time. There's no actual lines. It felt a little bit lacking for sure. That's really, I would say that overall, that's my one gripe that I have with the movie is I feel like they could have handled that better, but
Well,
I didn't think it was like terrible.
there was an implication that Cell Max was unfinished, and that
Yeah.
Hedo wasn't it something like Hedo told Magenta like you can't release him because his brain is unfinished or something like that. So
Yeah, yep.
does that mean that maybe if Hedo had a chance to finish him, he would have actually been like Perfect Cell where he could speak and everything?
Potentially, yeah. I think that might have been like an excuse that they used or something. I don't know, because would it have changed that much if he actually like was sentient or whatever? Maybe. I can't really speak to that, but yeah, that was part of it. The whole thing was that he was an unfinished monster. He was a kaiju. Like that's it. Just a big giant like rampaging version of second form Cell that's red that has a club tail. That's what he was. But yeah, their explanation for the reason of why he was the way he was because he was unfinished. Yeah.
Okay, we got a lot of questions. Okay, guys, give me a minute. I have to catch. Goresh, I didn't think we were gonna get so many questions, dude. Like I just want to talk to you about the movie. We got a lot of questions, so
It's all good.
I'm doing the best I can. Son Goku says, "Can I ask your opinion about Oob in all this? Is he stronger because of this or not relevant?" There was no mention of Oob in this movie at all. There's nothing with Oob in this movie.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, yeah, there was nothing.
Yeah, this is before the end of Z, and based on Pan's age, it's somewhere like a year or maybe less than a year before end of Z. So, where would you like it to go, bro? Like, okay, gun to your head, not literally. What do you want to see next? Do you as a fan, do you want them to continue where they're going with the manga, or do you want them to go past the end of Z, or do you want them to squeeze out one more story after this movie but before the end of Z? Because I really want to see Goku in that blue gi again. It's been a while.
I think what they could do is do one more story before the end of Z, and then that story could finish up with Goku like putting on that gi to end that, and then that's how they would lead into it.
Now, see, that should have been the post-credit scene. It would have been awesome if, like, the post-credit scene was Goku goes to his closet, and it's like, this is such fucking Marvel shit. He opens up his closet, and then Chi-Chi's like, "I'm washing all your clothes," and he's topless wearing a towel, right? He's out of the shower, and then he looks and he sees the one blue gi, and he looks at it and goes, then it cuts off, and it says, "Goku will return." That's what they should have fucking done. Dude, I would have done backflips if they did that in the fucking movie theater, bro. Holy shit.
Yeah. The other side of me also is kind of just like how many stories could they possibly fit in between, the Buu saga and
we thought we were done with Frieza, the Resurrection F.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Okay, Christopher Reeves, not that one, says, to see Cell, once a well-spoken, cunning, and intelligent villain reduced down to a giant, mindless monster with no dialogue is a little bit of a letdown. Goresh, agree with you a few minutes ago.
Yeah, well, let me just say, I agree, but you have to also understand this is not the same Cell, so...
Right, and I was just going to say, I know Cell Max isn't the original Cell. He says that. The movie looks interesting and looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, as long as you remember it's not the same Cell. It's basically a wannabe Cell that happens to be stronger, but unfinished. Keenan Davis, I know who you are. He writes, the Frieza scene was a small mention from Dende and Piccolo during the conversation on the lookout about unlucky potential. That's what...
Oh, yeah.
He saw it.
He's right.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. He's one of the guys that saw it.
He's right, because that's what they were talking about, the Dragon Balls, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like the last time, the Frieza army came back and were searching for the Dragon Balls." Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
K Cobra says, "Do you think Cell Max will come back in future movies since he wasn't vaporized by Gohan just like the original one?" No, he was vaporized by Gohan. He when Gohan killed him, he hit the failsafe and all his cells died, right?
Yeah, he's done.
He's done. Really Hedo would have to rebuild them. Maple Syrup 3219 says, what do you think heroes will do with the new forms? I mean, at some point they'll pop up in there. That's all I can really tell you because Heroes has everything. Trinity Gaming Analysis says, think Orange Piccolo means no orange SSJ form. Dude, at this point, when you described Gohan Blanco or whatever, and when I saw the footage, I saw that purple aura you were talking about, but we already saw purple hair with Vegeta, so it's like they've already gone through the color spectrum at this point. They've got what color are they missing at this point?
I actually have to sit down and think about this. I don't know. Broly's green, so I guess that's not it.
They got green, they got red, they got blue, they got white, they got purple, they got the only
brown.
one that...
There you go. Brown.
Super Saiyan shit. AJ says Gohan low-key now looks like the legendary Saiyan Beerus seen in his dream. No, he does not. He doesn't look. What movie were you watching, bro? I don't care if you're watching the Battle of Gods movie or the Battle of Gods anime. The guy has Goku's hair, dude. That is not the legendary Saiyan Beerus saw in his dream, dude. Gohan's hair was so big. Like the way you described it in your review was that it was really tall, but when you actually see it, it's almost like it looks like fan art.
Yeah, it does.
It's wild. People are typing shit and it's getting filtered out by YouTube. Okay, Gohan. Okay, I'm sorry. Brett C says, since when is Gohan's word gospel now about the higher god forms? He doesn't know half the stuff going on around him. He doesn't know jack about UI or Ultra Ego, much less Goku and Vegeta currently. He's right, but you have to also remember that there's a time skip like between the granola arc and this, to where Goku and Vegeta may have gone back to Earth. Gohan may have seen UI and UE And he definitely saw UI, but he may have seen UE before they went back to train with Beerus. So there's a lot of mysteries here, you know, when it comes to what happened before.
Yeah, plus the granola arc's not even done.
That's what. Yeah, it's not even done. Adrian Viramontes says, "Is there any reason why Gohan's hair is white? Like, is there any information on this form? Give my boy a like. Thank you. Is there anything about that?
No, I mean, this is just headcanon, but it's like maybe the reason why it's white is because like the ultimate form aura is white, and maybe it has to do with that. I don't know. There's nothing that's directly stated about it. No.
Oh yeah, it's just, dude. There's no explanation for the form. Like I asked, you know, you said it in your review. I asked my other friend who saw it. They haven't explained shit, and I hope we do get one. Mecha J says, how much of a role did Gohan Trunks? No, I'm sorry, Goten Trunks and their fusion Gotenks play in the movie? I'm guessing it was just one comedy scene, right?
Well, they basically tried to explain why it took so long for them to grow up. Gohan tells Piccolo, like, oh yeah, like the way that Saiyans grow is they stay a certain size for a long time, and then they just all of a sudden just, you know, spurt up. What happened with Gotenks is the fat version of Gotenks, they basically, like, it was like Gamma 1 and 2 were like hitting him back and forth, like into Cell, as kind of like a, it kind of reminded me of like Yamcha's Spirit Ball a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, you
like,
said it was like
ball.
You said it was sort of like a volleyball, right? Like they're bouncing him around. Yeah, because that's something that like I don't know how much. So you're in Japan. Do you follow like Super Sentai at all over there?
No, I don't.
Well, in Super Sentai, especially the 80s shows, they would like do this attack where they whip out like a football and they'd pass it amongst themselves, then kick it at the villain. So that might be where they got that from.
Yeah,
you know?
no, actually, that's pretty accurate to what happened. Yeah.
That's where they got it from, bro. Like I'm dude. I should be living where you live, bro. The only reason why I don't live in Japan is because they don't like weed. Otherwise, I'd be there. I'm not with you right now, but I would have been in that movie theater. I'll tell you that much. Are you in Tokyo?
Yeah. Yep.
Bro, do me a favor, all right? I don't think people in the chat right now really understand, and you do. I went to Tokyo in 2020. I've been to New York, LA, Vegas, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, Miami. I have been to every major city in this country that has a high population. I have never seen anything like Tokyo, dude. Tokyo's like 5 times the size of New York.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's like, it's you know what it reminds me of? Have you ever played Final Fantasy VIII?
I haven't played it, but I know what it is.
That big blue city, it takes up the whole map.
Yeah.
So Modern Yin says his Raditz in the movie.
No.
Sorry, the image was fake. Gohasta says, will a movie or the anime return this or next year? I might do a video about that soon, not yet.
Remember, I think it was Ioku who said like, oh, we have something to announce later as well. So maybe.
The thing that's funny about that is people were like, oh, it's a game, or oh, it's a manga. I mean, it could be a spin-off manga, but it's probably something, either another movie.
It's not a game, because he's not the person who would be announcing that.
Yeah, it would be Bandai, right? I mean, yeah, no, he is, Ioku is Toriyama's like right-hand man. You know what's fucked up, Goresh? When I went to the Broly premiere in LA, Ioku walked right by me like 3 times because he was there, and I never got to like say anything to him, bro. Like he was, dude, I would have been asking him so many questions. Like he was right there. All right, Alethea Untold says superhero was literally fan manga Dragon Ball Rage. You're right. Only they used a bootleg cell and not the real thing. It was visually amazing though. I mean, I don't even know how to describe this thing. Trins Page says, I feel like the Earth Dragon Balls ended up like GT. I don't know what you mean by that. Began Flower 23 says, so is the Radix spoiler true? And is... Come on, man. I've already debunked that a million times. N Simmons 2... they must be new. N Simmons 211. I was wondering what Gohan's hair would look like not in CG, but he actually has hair like Shallot, so it should be good when 2D. Does he look like Shallot? I didn't see that.
I mean, if you think Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the Cell fight looks like Shallot, then he looks like Shallot, because that's literally what he looked like.
Damn. Okay. Gen Step says, my theory on Gohan, on Orange Piccolo, his power, color, and back symbol is reference to Dragon Balls. His dormant power was unlocked by Shenron after Dende upgraded him, and Kami and Kami and Piccolo are deeply connected to Dragon Balls and Shenron. I mean, I guess that makes sense, and maybe that's why the dragon was like, here, take something extra. But I can't recall ever in the history of Dragon Ball a dragon saying, hey, here, I got a little extra thing for you. That was so like out of left field.
Yeah, well, something else about that too is when Piccolo first summoned Shenron, Shenron calls him like Piccolo-sama and talks to him very formally. So I don't know if that's a reference to him being Kami and like him recognizing that he's Kami, or if it's him being more scared because he recognizes him as Demon King Piccolo who killed him before.
That's a good point. It could be either one because he's both. Fuck it.
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't recognize him as Nail. Forgot about that guy.
I mean, it's interesting because Gamma 1 in their first fight, in his first Gamma 2, when Gamma 2 fights Piccolo for the first time, he refers to him as Demon King Piccolo, and they refer to him as Demon King Piccolo in the headquarters when they're talking.
I've noticed that though, that they refer Piccolo Daimao. Like I've noticed that they refer to him because even like later on they referred to him as Piccolo Daimao when he stopped being that. I think like the public knows him as that because when Piccolo Daimao was around, it was one of the few villains that was actually publicized. Like the world,
the TV,
the TV, yeah, because the world knows who Cell is and the world knows who. Well, they knew who Boo was because Bobby D did that whole telepathy thing, and then Piccolo. But like villains like Broly, that was not videotaped for the Dragon Ball world, or I say videotape, recorded, whatever. Like Frieza's return wasn't. So even though North City got blown up, who knows? Lucario says my headcanon on why Final Gohan wasn't in the Buu saga is that Gohan interrupted his own training when old Kai by standing up and not sitting still. No, you're forgetting something. In the Buu saga, the old Kai did finish. Remember, there was a joke there where Gohan was like wanting to fight, and the old Kai said, "Oh, I've been done already for 2 hours." Something like that. It was 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah, because he was reading like the porn or whatever, right?
Yeah. So he was done. Okay, Swifty, I'm gonna ask you this question. What do you think is next for Broly?
Definitely something. Because the whole thing with Broly does nothing, by the way, in this movie. He literally does nothing. Goku basically complains to Whis. He's like, "Can we not have Broly involved in the sparring because he always gets way too angry and loses control of his temper." So they're obviously hinting at maybe some kind of Kale situation where he gets control of his anger and is able to control his forms better. Because it's literally the same thing, right? Kale has the Berserk form, but then she's able to control it better later. I think we could see something similar with Broly, maybe.
Yeah, I just hope it's different. Like, because the Kale thing was very.
Me too.
Yeah,
I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, I thought it was just like because when I first saw that episode, it felt like she went from like a bootleg legendary Super Saiyan down to like Super Saiyan 2 level. But that's not what happened. But I mean, it felt that way. And I know for a fact a lot of fans were confused by that. And I'm probably going to do a video at some point explaining it, even though it's an older episode. Because that confused me even. Like, when you first see it, you're like, well, what's going on here? Because controlled Berserk is like, it's like an antithesis of what Berserk actually is. Like, it's like saying jumbo shrimp. It's
it's an oxymoron.
Oxymoron. That's what I meant to say. English is not my first language. Deoxy says, I can't wait to see Gohan get jobbed in Super when the Moro arc airs. Right. Jack Genter says, what about Cell Max's dead body? Did they bury him? The clip I saw showed him falling down to the earth after the blast, but did he actually disintegrate? Oh, he explodes. Yeah. Okay. Hun 91 says, was there any references to the Great Saiyan Man? That's a great question because I forgot to ask you that. That's why you guys are here.
No, which is pretty surprising. The answer is no.
Red Ribbon didn't have any data on any of that shit?
Nope, there's nothing about him.
So how does the Red Ribbon know about Goku, Vegeta, and all them, and not know that Mr. Satan's a fraud at this point? Like, I don't understand that.
The whole Mr. Satan thing is funny because they're going through... they're like, unlike that big screen or whatever. By the way, the whole gag is that Carmine, the guy with like the hair or whatever... Like, he's the one who's, like, recording, like, all this stuff. And, like, he has his own YouTube channel, and each video has, like, 10 views.
I love it. Dude, you didn't tell me. Dude, I love the movie even more now. Holy
and they have,
shit.
Like, he has, like, these little, like director, producer, like, stuff like that. And it's all just Carmine.
I'm gonna tweet that out right now, bro. Carmine has a YouTube channel, and every video has like 10 views. I'm gonna tweet that out. I'm gonna tag you real quick because I think people need to know about that.
Yeah, you'll see that.
That's fucking, dude, that's brilliant. Because when they mentioned GodTube, I mean, you know, hey, we exist to them. Red Ribbon Army member. Wait, that's not really is that a spoiler?
Not really.
It's not a big one. Yeah, it's not like a plot spoiler. It's just a comedy scene. Okay, okay. Ten Tails says, if someone kills Pan or Videl in front of Gohan, do you think that would push Gohan to even higher levels? That's a great question. What do you think?
I mean, it would make him mad, so potentially, yeah.
Urban Nerd says, do you think Gohan's new form could be a result of Saiyan power mixed with Kai God Ki because of the way he gained his ultimate form? I mean, possibly. It's just weird. Because let's be honest, it's a gag. It's an ass pull. I mean, this was not planned out. When Toriyama wrote Dragon Ball the manga and got to that part, he didn't plan that 20 years later he would come back and come up with this form. So they have to make it fit. So even though that could be a logical theory, there's just no evidence to that. Like Goresh talking earlier about, like, there's just nothing there. Like, it just happens. Kumazu's Fusion says, I just joined. Do you think Gohan has surpassed Goku and Vegeta? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Gohan thinks that he did. Or Gohan thinks, no, that's not what he said. Gohan thinks that they might not have helped against Cell Max, even though I think they would have, even if they weren't stronger than him.
Yeah. Well, he said they might not have beaten him, so.
Right, but if they knew the weak spot, they would have beat him, right?
I think so, yeah.
Somebody asked, do you know why Cell Max has red skin?
I don't think it was talked about. I mean, again, I'm going to have to go see the movie again, but I don't believe it was mentioned.
Okay, it's just probably just a design choice. N. Simmons says, I need interaction with Hedo in 17, with Hedo saying he's Garo's grandson, and 17 casually saying he's killed him with awkward staring. Was 17 in the movie at all? I don't think so, right?
He was in a flashback. They briefly showed 17, 18, and Gero all together, and they're like, Gero was killed by... This is when, I think this was in the beginning, like during like the Red Ribbon Army like recaps part.
Right.
Like Gero was killed by 17 or something. And Hedo, even in the beginning of the movie, says that he doesn't know how his grandfather was killed, but he doesn't really care because he didn't really know him.
Yeah, right.
So.
Mac Media says, will Broly, Chila, and Lemo live on Earth eventually? Was any of that talked about in the movie that you remember?
No, that wasn't talked about. But Beerus was like, why is Broly here? So I don't know where. I guess he was living on Vampa up until he came to Beerus's planet. I'm not really sure.
That would make sense. Jason Zeno Gomez says, what I meant is like, that's the new hierarchy. Maybe. Deoxy says, I heard the post-credit scene is Broly waking up and he finds Beerus plowing Chila. No, that's the joke that I made, bro. I made that joke the other day. Divergent Zen says, just noticed I was unsubscribed. Yeah, YouTube does that, bro. Just resubscribe. Big Gohan fan, excited for the movie, but I realized the DBS producers put 1/50th of thought into writing and developing this stuff. Sad state, it is what it is. I don't know about that, but you know what's weird about this? It's like Toriyama, like, people gotta understand, this dude, he doesn't really care. Like, I think people think that Toriyama's like Tolkien, like, you know, where he has a lot of lore, but I don't think he gives a shit about stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, he's really just there to entertain people. That's the way I've always, like, because people, I think what they have to do, bro, is read some other Toriyama work besides Dragon Ball, because so many people just only read Dragon Ball, and they think that because it's a superhero anime martial arts show and manga, that's all Toriyama does, but most of his other works are action comedy. Like, it's never that important, you know?
Yeah, I think something else people understand, too, is that, like, are people saying that the writing is bad because they don't like the new design of the Gohan form? Like, what does bad writing even mean to you?
It's subjective to everyone. It's subjective, yeah. Picard Knee says, it seems like Final Gohan is similar to SS2, but a Mystic Gohan SS2, like his white normal energy while a Mystic form went to his hair. Possibly. That's actually what Goresh said earlier. Fnaz Hunt says, bro, I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions. I did not think I was going to get too many questions. Since it doesn't have an official name, let's call it Ultimate Super Saiyan. No, I'm not doing that. Jack Genter says, think Hedo will build a time machine for Bulma. If Hedo is a super genius, he might build it for Bulma for not throwing him in jail and help Bulma go back to the past in order to reunite with Trunks. Well, bro, you're confused. Trunks is in the future, not the past. Yeah, maybe he meant to say like something else. No, I don't think she needs Hedo to help her design the time machine because she designed it herself in the future Trunks timeline and the Cell timeline. So I don't think she needs him for that. But he might design. I don't know what he could design, bro. I don't know if that's going to happen. Hunter Ronan says, can we please call Orange Piccolo Nova Piccolo? No. One Papa Giorgio says, do you guys think that Cell Max is in his second form because the process, as said, wasn't completed before he was released? Okay, I have two questions for you, Goresh, about that. A, do you think that's the case? And B, when Piccolo looks through and sees Cell Max and is horrified, do we see the Cell Max at the... Like, what does he actually see? Like an embryo?
No, it is the second form. It's through the glass of like the container.
Right.
So it's kind of like a very non-detailed look at him, but he is second form. It's the same like look.
So it's sort of like he's just like asleep.
Yeah, he's just in the chamber asleep, yeah.
Okay. Underscore PM says, does it mention Moro or the manga at all in the movie? I said no. Am I correct on that?
No.
Yeah,
no references to the manga at all. And actually, that was one of the biggest questions I had going into this movie is like, how are they going to handle the manga stuff? I was like, is Vegeta just going to go Ultra Ego out of nowhere and there's going to be no explanation? Like, how is this going to work?
Yeah, exactly.
There was literally no reference to it. Yeah,
None.
No reference at all.
I told you fuckers, you gotta trust me, there was no mention. Beggin Flower 23 was the Radicine leak. No, bro, you gotta subscribe to Geek the 101, bro. I debunked that like months ago. Viper Bites Gaming, question for Goresh. What was the point of showing Goku, Vegeta, and Buu on the Titantron thing? He's talking about like when they showed them, he's talking about the scene in the Rubber Band base where they... Yeah, what was that about?
It was just them like going through all the different quote unquote aliens they have to beat in order to, bring back the Red Ribbon Army. All the enemies that stand in their way, pretty much. And that's what I actually forgot to mention this earlier, but it's like they go through all the different enemies. They're like, okay, we have Goku, we have Vegeta, we have like the terrifying Majin Buu, and then we have Mr. Satan, whose true power has yet to be seen. Like that's how they end.
I love it, dude. Funny. I love that. And you mentioned that in the review, and I loved it. Brett Z says, Oob has brown cover. He's talking about the form. I agree. Thank you, Hero Jones Gaming. Your sim enthusiast with the $49 super chat. I was not expecting this, bro. Thank you for your generosity. Okay, so now that Hedo was working at Capsule Corp, what if he decides to make an Android 21 using Vami or someone else or a complete robot on the good side, but it backfires and turns into the real story about Android 21, power and sweets hungry Android? That's a complex question. Well, let me ask you, Goresh. Did they say what happened to Garo's wife? Like, did she died, or she, old age? Was she killed? Like, did they give you anything about her?
No. The only reference in the entire movie to her was in like a 2-second like glimpse at the family tree in the very beginning of the movie.
That's that's Easter egg, bro. I'm gonna ask you about Easter eggs here in a minute. That's just an Easter egg. That's all it is. Like that's supposed to be so that people that play fighters like pop. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's 21. Yeah. But I don't know. I think honestly that they could make an Android 21. Like they could actually do Android 21 like in another movie or an anime, but they would have to change it up from fighters. It would be like what they did with Broly. They would have to make a new Android 21 for the continuity because fighters does not really mix with like the Dragon Ball story. Legendary SSJ Taro, what's with Broly and Lemo crying? That's actually a great question. There's that image that came out of them crying. Was it because of the fight with Goku and Vegeta, or was it because they ate some spicy food or something?
No, it was because of the fight, because they were eating ice cream, so...
Okay, well, that's not going to be spicy. Gabe Mercedes says, do you think Gohan has some level of God key since he has potential unlocked by Elder Kai? That would be a pretty cool explanation that Elder Kai gave him a little bit of God key without knowing, but none of that said in the movie, right? You're here to verify that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no explanation. DC says, do you think a new GT could happen to fix the minor mistakes from the first? I love GT. I like to see a remake, not remaster. No, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I do think that if they go past the end of Z, they might take inspiration from some of the GT storylines and characters, but they're probably not going to just remake GT. Like, then again, who knows, bro? Because who knows at this point? All right. Goatfather 1027, stationed in Japan, 0103 Shibuya. Crossing is crazy and Roppongi is wild. Greatest experience was being in Japan and I've been in different countries. That's for you, bro. I mean, You moved out there. Did you move out there because of work? Like, what was your reasoning for moving out?
Oh, it was for work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to come back?
Like to move back? Eventually, probably. US. Yeah, probably eventually. Yep.
Can you get dual citizenship over there?
You can't. It's really effed up. Like they make you choose. It's either you become a citizen here and revoke your U.S. citizenship, which I would never ever do, or you don't become a citizen here. So I would not. I'm not going to do that.
So you're not going to become a citizen?
No.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. I thought you could have dual citizenship, but it's a bitch.
Yeah. So the way it works, just a quick explanation is the only way you can have dual citizenship between the U.S. and Japan is if one parent is Japanese and one parent is American. But then once you reach, they actually just lowered the adult age from 20 to 18. I believe now it's once you reach 18, you have to choose. So
that's weird because Kenny Omega, the pro wrestler, was said to have dual citizenship, and he's Canadian. Is it different if you live in Canada, or is it the same?
It might be different. Yeah, I'm not sure the Canadian rules, but for the U.S., you have to choose. Yeah.
Weird. Hunter Ronan says, if Potential Unleashed can transform the body, couldn't it do the same thing for humans or even Oob? That sounds awesome. Majin Potential Unleashed. Yes, I could totally see that. I mean, Krillin didn't transform when the Elder Kai did it, but you have to also remember that Gohan's a special case. Jack Genter says, Shenron giving something extra to the son of the Namekian who killed him was very kind of him. Yeah, but it's also the Namekian who made him, bro, because he's got Kami inside of him. Shenron could have told Piccolo to go F himself. That's not really how a dragon works, but maybe he could have. Zyko says, what shadow dragon is going to be born after Bulma's wish? Dude, people have been talking about that, how her wishing for a bigger ass is like a bad wish or something.
Yeah, I mean, Piccolo does like scold her for like wishing for stuff like that. He's like, you're gonna really use the dragon to wish for stuff like that. And at the end of the movie, when Bulma brings in Hedo to be part of Capsule Corp, Piccolo's like, at least now you can stop making those kinds of wishes. Like, so.
Yeah, she's wasting wishes, bro. No question. Akumazu's fusion. Speaking of Kale, do you think Broly will hook up with Kale and Chila will get with Beerus? I don't think that's ever happening, bro. Now we're going into Dragon Ball being a soap opera, and I don't think that's happening. What do you think?
Yeah, I just no.
Okay, Mr. Oath Flame says, why am I hearing Final Gohan is Potential Unleashed mixed with Broly's Ikari form? Is this true? That sounds like a fan theory to me, bro.
Yeah, there's nothing at all that implies that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe because Gohan's like raging out because the fact that,
is it possible? Yeah, but it's not. There's no evidence for it.
Yeah, this is something that, I mean, let's be real, bro. This is either going to get answered or it might not ever get answered. I think people are going to theorize on it for years, and we might get an answer someday with like a guidebook or a Toriyama interview. But there are so many. We still don't even know what Trunks' Ikari form is. Like, we don't know.
I remember, I believe the way that we even knew what his form was called is because he was on a Heroes card, and the Heroes card had the form name on the back of it.
That's right. That's it. They didn't give you anything, bro. So, also, I wanted to ask you about the pan flying thing because one of the things I've been talking to people about is the fact that like she obviously knew how to fly in Super, but one thing people have to understand, and I really believe this. I don't think Toriyama even watches Super. Like, I don't think he actually watches the TV show because Toei takes so many liberties with his story that I feel like pan flying was something they added, and Toriyama, when he wrote the script, didn't even know she already knew how to fly. Because we've seen that kind of shit happen before when it comes to like Toei, Toriyama, and Toyotaro.
Yeah, they're talking about the whole scene of like the baby pan flying.
Multiple times she did it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the only explanation I can give is that she couldn't control her flying when she was a baby, right? And
that makes sense.
Know how to do it on a whim now. I guess that's the only way I could really see it.
That actually makes perfect sense. DBZ Fan for Life says, is this Gohan's final form? That means Gohan's latent ability can't be unlocked anymore. Okay, let's be real, dude. This is Gohan's final form until they come up with something else. You know what I mean? Super Saiyan 3 was Goku's final form. Then Super Saiyan 4. Then God. Whenever they come up with something else, it'll take its place. Our screen says, did anyone mention that the new forms make Gohan and Piccolo look like villains while the antagonists are superheroes? Was there any mention of that in the film? Like, because I feel like they would have thrown a joke in there about how Demon King Piccolo, like, because you mentioned Demon King Piccolo, maybe like the Gammas actually believe that he is still the same Demon King that like killed, you know, people and shit, like, you know, because he looks mean or whatever. Like, was any joke like that made about his?
No, no jokes about. Actually, that's a good point though, because maybe the way that they sort of like instructed the Gammas and like Dr. Hedo was that like this is the Demon King Piccolo that like, you know, killed people, and they like he looks pretty similar, and they showed clips of like, I don't know, Demon King Piccolo like blowing up a city and stuff like that, and they're like, look how evil they are, stuff like that. So that's probably the way that they did it.
Yeah, for sure. And that sounds like the way Toriyama would write something. South Blue Anthony says, wish the anime would just stick to the manga, would make stuff a lot less confusing. I mean, he's right. I do agree with that, even though that's not how it works. I have a video, Goresh, planned that's going to be like a 30-minute video, and I actually was going to put it out a couple years ago, but I just didn't want to deal with it. And actually, I recorded the video audio, but I'm going to just get rid of it and re-record it, because I want to do a video explaining canon, because literally 95% of the fandom gets it wrong, and I don't think it's their fault. Sometimes I get mad, but I don't actually blame them, because like there's a lot of confusing things that statements have been made. People debate about this, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Like how people like aren't like how people are like, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
like there's so many different like Toriyama will make a statement for like Kakarot, and they'll say, oh, that's canon, even though it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just, and it's a video game. It's just like, I think, and I've talked about this before, and maybe you can vouch for this because you actually live there. I made a video about this, hasn't gone up yet. The West and the East, when it comes to entertainment, are somewhat different. We all like our action, but like, canon is far less important to the Japanese than it is to us. Like, obviously the word canon came from canonical, which is the Bible, which is a Western religion. But to the Asians, like, look at Mario, look at Zelda. Like, they don't care about sticking to one canon. It's never been a priority to them.
100%. You could very easily feel that for sure. They don't really care at all.
They don't care at all. Like, they can make some things fit, but they're going to have manga, movies, and anime do totally different things. Because to be honest, if there is a canon, it's whatever Toriyama wrote in his script, the manuscript for the film, and Toei will just take that and add to it. Like, there's things, I'm sure there's things in this movie that Toriyama, like, that they added to the movie that Toriyama didn't even, like, come up with. They always do that. Little things. So, okay, question for you, bro. Manny Alvarado, how did Vegeta fight in this movie? Did it look similar to where he pushed back Jiren on his own? They were just sparring, but how was that like?
Yeah. Well, they were sparring, but Beerus does make a comment saying that Vegeta's movements look different, but just a little bit. So I think maybe he's trying to because again, the whole scene of him meditating was it was Goku and Broly sparring at the very beginning part of that Beerus planet scene. And Goku's like, Vegeta, like, why don't you train with us? And Vegeta's basically like, I'm trying to, you know, take a page out of Jiren's book and sharpen my mind. This is also a form of training. And then Whis commends him for doing that. And so I think Vegeta is trying to change his fighting style to be more efficient almost. And that might be, you know, a different way that he's going to be fighting moving forward. But it's not like completely, he's not like doing anything completely out of the blue or anything like that. It's not that much different.
But there was no reference to Beerus being Vegeta's mentor, right? Because that's something else in the manga. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he was wearing the God of Destruction earring either, actually. So,
I mean, I figured you'd take that off at the end of this arc, but yeah, again, bro, we don't even know what's going to happen at the end of this arc, so for all we know, he just stops using it, or he doesn't need it anymore. I don't know. _PM. I don't know if you said it already. How does Gohan's new form compare to Goku and Vegeta? Same question about Piccolo. Well, Gohan, we talked about it before. Goresh mentioned it. Gohan says he's not sure if Goku and Vegeta could have helped against Cell Max. Do you think Piccolo, Orange Piccolo, and again, we don't have a direct answer as we haven't seen them fight yet, so this is all speculation. Do you think Orange Piccolo is on par with some of Goku and Vegeta's higher forms?
It's so hard to say.
There's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, I would say for blue at least for sure, definitely. Like UI Sign, I would say maybe Piccolo would give a good fight to UI Sign. Like Ultra Instinct Goku straight up, I don't know if Piccolo would win, but
Especially
I
if
would
it's
say
like
he's
post Moro Ultra Instinct
yeah.
Goku.
Well, yeah, because you got all the extra like UI plus like blue and stuff like that. But Piccolo, I think could give a good fight to like UI Sign Goku. I would say. It's so hard to say. I could not give you a
Yeah.
straight answer.
So I want to say this: we're almost at 2 hours. I actually wasn't sure. I actually feel kind of bad because I didn't want to take up too much of your time today. I really didn't, dude. I did not. I swear to God on my mother and father, I did not think we were going to get this many questions. I knew we'd get some, but I didn't think we were going to get this many questions. So
All good.
if you have to dip or anything like that, just let me know. Again, I don't want to hold you because there's still like there's not that many questions left. Do you want to just finish these off? There's like
Yeah,
maybe
that's fine.
like 8 left. All right, no more questions, folks. I mean, if you want to ask me a question, that's fine, but I don't want to keep Goresh on all weekend. I appreciate him coming on. And also, real quick, bro, now there's new people coming in, go ahead and plug everything plug where they can find you again for the new people who are coming in who missed the beginning of the stream.
Sure. So my YouTube channel is just Goresh, Goresh. My Twitter is the same thing, but it's just with an X at the end, Goreshx. And then I am part of 59 Gaming, which is a community that posts a lot of videos, not only about Dragon Ball, but about gaming, manga, anime, movies, TV shows, all that type of nerd culture. Our website is 59gaming.com. You can get to all of our social links that way.
And that started with you and Truth, right? You guys are the two founders?
It was me, him, and some other guys as well. The total amount of founders, I believe, was 5 or 6 of us started it, and then we've expanded, obviously, out of those 5 people. So.
Oh no! Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was just you guys. I thought it was like you guys first, and then everybody else came in later. So okay. Coco Wright says to confirm, Cell Max has no recollection of his past or Gohan. Cell Max is not Cell. It's a different person.
Different.
He's different. Yeah, it's no different than it's sort of like saying Android 18 is not Android 17, or even better, Android 16 is not Dr. Garo's son. He just looks like that. Yeah. So, no, it's a totally different character. K Cobra, which villain do you think will be a good test for Gohan's new transformation? Kid Buu, Golden Frieza, Janemba, or the old psychotic Broly from the movie? All of those will probably get stomped by Gohan at this point, but if you're talking about like rebooting them into the modern era, I think any of them can work. We're not going to see the old Broly ever again. It's new Broly from now on. And Janemba would have to be rebooted too. I always wanted to reboot Janemba. But, dude, Goresh, dude, this movie feels like a combination of like Super Android 13, movie 7, DBZ movie 7, and the last 2 Broly movies, because the fact that they fight Cell Max and it's Goten, Trunks, 18, and Krillin, who are the 4 main leads of Bio Broly, plus Gohan and Piccolo, it really feels like that. You know what I mean? And plus the fact that Cell Max is kind of like Bio Broly. He's not Broly. So
actually now the
yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to ask you if Cell Max is a former Cell Junior, and that's also a no, right?
No.
Because that's been a question. People have been asking that shit for weeks, dude, if Cell Max is a Cell Junior.
No, I don't think they didn't mention anything about that. But now that you mention it, the fact that they specifically brought back like the Bio Broly cast, like they could have brought back Tien, they could have brought Yamcha in, but they didn't. They specifically chose to bring Goten, Trunks, Krillin, and 18, and that actually is interesting. I wonder if that's like a little nod at Bio Broly.
It seems like it. Also, I want to let people know, if you're just joining us, I will have this stream up for replay. So if you missed any of the questions, if you want to know more, if maybe a question was asked, or if you, because some of you guys are asking questions that have already been answered, the replay will be up. Also, how big is Cell Max? Because people were saying he was a kaiju, but when I looked at him, he was big, but it didn't seem like he was like building sized.
He's not. I would say like Giant Lord Slug was probably bigger than him. He was definitely bigger than like Merge Zamasu though, for sure. So he was kind of probably like in
Ball,
between
ballpark,
Merge and
like
Masu
so
and
ballpark
Loitzla.
like 10 feet tall. Ballpark, just
No, way bigger than that.
oh
I
like
think
oh wow, okay.
no, he was a big boy. He was again, I would say in between Merge because Merge and Masu was pretty damn big. In between like the corrupted version of Merge, like the purple goopy version. In between that version of Merge Zamasu and like Giant Lord Slug is how big he was, I would say.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, people were thinking it was actually like kaiju level because Piccolo got big too, but he didn't like get bigger than Cell Max. It was he was like neck and neck with him in height.
Yeah, but the funny thing is Piccolo takes the Senzu bean out of his like gi or whatever while he's big, and it's this little tiny
pebble.
speck. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny.
He could have snorted it for all we know. Wouldn't that have been something? He snorted.
Oh yeah. The funny thing about they because after the fight with the Gammas, Piccolo throws Gohan the Senzu bean and he misses it and it falls through like the little crack. I can't.
You
believe
mentioned that, and it was a throwback to the Potara when he dropped it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to leave a like, folks. All right, DBZ Fan for Life official. And by the way, like, I didn't even want this to be a Q&A, but they're actually asking you some of the questions that I was going to ask you anyways. If this is Gohan's final form, does that mean Gohan's late in the... Oh, I already answered that. I'm sorry. Okay, Goat Father. Okay, he says, I was in the army. That's why I was on the out there in 0103. The Dragon Ball series was not airing, and it still was everywhere. I don't think people realize. That's the dude who was in Japan. But when I went to Japan, and obviously when I went to Japan, there was no Dragon Ball movie out. It was almost implied like some parts of Japan, I feel like Slump might be a little bit like, I don't know if it's like that now, but when I went to the subway, there was like Slump pictures everywhere, bro. Like, would you say Slump is bigger than Dragon Ball over there or no?
Not bigger, but I think if you go up to somebody and ask them like, "Hey, do you know who Arale is?" They'll probably say yes. Like people know who that is.
So it's kind of like comparing it to Bart Simpson here.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, not Mickey Mouse, Bart Simpson. Mickey Mouse would probably be what, Doraemon?
Doraemon, yeah. He's like the dude. That's been going on forever.
Since like what the 40s or some shit. No, like 50s, something like that.
I don't know if it's that old. I would say like maybe early 70s.
And it's every single week, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's absurd. All right, Mr. Old Flame says, "What do you guys think about Jiren's nerf?" I don't like it. I don't like it because it goes against everything we saw in the anime. I do not like it, dude. What do you think?
I don't know if there was a need to nerf him, but just explaining like, oh, like why, like they didn't need to say that he was not that much more powerful than Goku and Vegeta. I don't think that was necessary. All they had to do was just say like one of the reasons why
we
Jiren
fight him
was
again.
so strong.
Yeah. We got to be ready. The original Super Saiyan isn't. This is from Shinkai 9. The original Super Saiyan isn't really based off Gohan's new form. It's just the red eyes. It's based off alternate versions of SS10. Did you mean to type SS1? There is no Super Saiyan 10, bro. We're going back to fan fiction again. You know what? There probably is a Super Saiyan 10 that some fan drew like 20 years ago that looks like Gohan does now. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, the original Super Saiyan in the manga did have red eyes. And I do think they probably took some inspiration from that, but the hair is different. Azaria's Judah says, you think these new forms will fight some villains from Planet Sadala? I hope so. What do you think?
That would be nice. Could finally go to Planet Sadala. They've been teasing it for only like what 7 years or something. Like, come on.
I know, right?
Can we finally get this arc.
Dick tease. People forget getting older. Pan flying from Akumazu's fusion. Medic Mason, do you feel like Goresh? I have not gotten this many questions since Super ended, dude. This is wild. Do you feel like the purple in Gohan's new form is Destroyer Ki? That's a great question. Is this a divine transformation? Well, we don't know that, but did it feel like it was God Destruction Ki? From what I saw, it didn't, but you saw it work more clear than me.
It kind of had a similar look to it. I'm trying to think. Like, we haven't seen Ultra Ego animated yet, right? So I don't know how they're gonna do that, but just from what we know of the color scheme of Ultra Ego and how it looked in the manga, I wouldn't be surprised if like the aura and the like purple lightning kind of looks like Ultra Ego. So I could definitely see why people think that.
Yeah, I mean, purple has been like so synonymous now with UE, and even before that, Beerus. Jacob YT says, well, since Gohan and Piccolo has new forms, do you think Super Saiyan 4 will make an appearance in the anime? Bro, people have been dying for this, dude. Like, oh my God. There were people who thought that Gohan was going to get SS4 in this movie. And honestly, I feel like if they were going to reboot that, we would have already seen it
Broly.
by now.
I feel like if they're going to do that, Broly would be the one to get it.
Maybe, but I feel like, well, okay, that is a good point. And people want it real bad, dude. And I just wonder, like, if they really want it that bad, are they going to get it? Because they might. I don't know. Mecha J says, you're right on Toriyama on not watching the anime. He stated in a recent interview that when he came up for the movie Superhero, he forgot Dragon Ball Super was already an official name. That is a new interview that came out today. He didn't even know. He didn't even know that he was going to call the movie Dragon Ball Superhero, but he forgot that Super was Dragon Ball Superhero. That's wow. Mecha, that's funny. Dorian Davis says, was the fight between Goku and Vegeta any good?
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, no transformations, no ki blasts. It was just straight up, just like a brawl, pretty much. But I thought it was pretty good. Every single fight in this movie was animated pretty well. It was kind of, I don't want to explain this. It wasn't like every single punch was like heavy and you could feel every single blow. It was more of like a fast-paced, swoop in, do a few hits, back out kind of thing. But at the beginning, it was basically Vegeta had the slight edge, then Goku started fighting back, and then the end, the post-credit scene is literally like it pans back to the Beerus' planet. There's like craters everywhere, so they've clearly been fighting for a long time, and they're both like super exhausted. Vegeta lunges forward, punches Goku with like a super weak punch, and basically just pushes him back, and he falls over, and that was it.
DBZ fan that sounds awesome though. DBZ fan for life says, if Goku saw Gamma 1, do you think he would challenge Gamma 1 to a fight? Yes. And where does Gamma 1 stand against Goku's power level? Again, I can answer this for you, bro. We don't even see Goku transform, so there's just no way to tell. South Blue Anthony, I think the movie's foreshadowing Gohan being the new main character. No. That people gotta let that go, bro. Goku's never gonna get replaced as the main character. Like, unless they do like some kind of like Dragon Ball Next Generation gimmick where Goku like retires, I just don't see them going back to Gohan again. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not going to bet my house on that, because if this movie is a tribute to the Cell Saga, then maybe it is a direction they're going in. I just feel like at this point it is the Goku show. What do you think?
I think at this point, I don't want to explain this. Goku and Vegeta have been the face of the Dragon Ball brand for what, over 30 years, pretty much. Maybe about 30 years.
Right.
So this movie itself is a huge risk to sort of push them to the side and then let other characters be in the spotlight for once. But I don't know if it's going to work every time. So.
Yeah, I think it works for this movie, but him being the main character, I mean, because he is a main character. So, like I mentioned earlier, if they have a story where like Goku and Vegeta are off-world fighting another villain, and then Gohan could take the lead on Earth, sort of like what the MCU is going to do for Phase 4, where they're going to have cosmic villains and then Earth villains. They could do something like that. But I don't think he's ever going to replace Goku. Goku's not going to go anywhere, dude. I don't think he is, at least not for quite some time. Maybe if Nozawa passes away, but even then you'd have to replace Gohan.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but I was kind of thinking the same thing, yeah.
Right, and I can straight up tell you that, I'll tell you off the air if you want as to how I know this, but they don't even have a replacement for her yet, so we'll see. South Blue Anthony says, I think this movie's foreshadowing Gohan being the new main character. Oh, I already answered that. Dragcause Toy Chest, will we ever get English dub music for anything Dragon Ball? No. Limitless says, Geekdom, I hope you're doing well. You inspire me so much. Much love. I just met Ian Sinclair. He's very nice, bro. Very funny guy. Ask him about ramen noodles. He's a big ramen noodles guy. Bahamut says, is filming in the movie theater generally banned? That's a great question, because I know that in Japan it's frowned upon to film. Well, it's frowned upon here too, but how do the Japanese feel about people recording shit in their movie theaters?
It is very, very, very strict. The screening that I went to was a special screening, and they didn't have any commercials or anything.
No trailers.
Literally, the lights went down and the movie started. There was nothing else that happened before that. The screen was blank and then the movie started exactly at 12 a.m. But generally, when you go see a movie here, they literally have a mascot to promote not filming movie. It's literally like a guy in a suit and his head is like a camcorder. That's who it
I
is.
love that. I love that.
Before every single movie starts here that I've been to, they have a little like a screen that appears that's just like, do not record and do not like download illegally like movies posted online, stuff like that, because you can go to jail for doing that. And so the people who are going in and like recording this movie in the theaters and like posting it online are literally risking themselves like going to jail, literally. So that's pretty insane to me that they're even risking that. But yeah, they're very strict here about that stuff.
You got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. Shield Lab says for people upset about spoilers, this film is an hour and 39 minutes. It's still a lot to enjoy seeing for the first time. Thanks for this stream geekdom. Did the movie feel to you short or long when you saw it? Or normal?
It felt short. It definitely did. I even though it was an hour and 40 minutes, it did not feel that long at all. So I enjoyed it. Time flew.
It's gonna fly by. White Oreo says, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Final Gohan? That's a great question. I'm gonna ask you that question, bro. What would you rate Final Gohan?
Like in terms of animation or what?
I guess he just means, did you like the form? I don't know. I don't know what he means. He just wrote, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Final Gohan? That's all.
For that, my first impression seeing it in the movie theater, not knowing what to expect, I'd give it like a 9.5. It was insane. I thought they did a good job, obviously, with the throwbacks to the Cell fight, the original Cell fight, with the way the transformation happened, the actual look of the form itself. And the thing to mention also is that not only was that a throwback to Super Saiyan 2 Gohan vs. Cell because of the way it looked, Gohan acted cocky in that form. Like, Cell punches him in the stomach, and then Gohan's just like, "Is that all you got?"
Yeah.
And then Cell starts powering up the energy ball, and Gohan just laughs at him.
The big green one, because dude, this fucking energy ball, I saw it. This fucking thing, like, you see it. They have a shot of the Earth from space, and
right, yeah.
It's almost as big as the Earth.
Yeah, it's huge, and the way it gets bigger too is it doesn't like swell up. It literally just like boom, boom, boom. It gets
boom,
like
boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he like condense it?
He probably does because it looks smaller later. So.
And then the special beam cannon, the Makanko Sapo that Gohan fires, it basically pierces right through the ball and then hits Cell in the forehead.
Yeah. Yep, that's how he kills him.
Yeah, I saw the footage and I was just bro, because like we've seen big key balls before. We've seen them. Is this the biggest key ball we've ever seen? Because this is bigger than anything Frieza's ever done.
Yeah, I mean it's bigger than Kid Buu's thing, bigger than Beerus's, bigger than Cooler's. I think probably it might be.
It's bigger than Beerus's, the one from Battle of Gods. DBZ Fan for Life says, do you think one of the Gammas or Hedo could be a future Z fighter? That could go for anybody at this point. I just feel like they're going to end up, in my opinion, Goresh, I think that Hedo and Gamma are going to end up being like background characters that they're going to ask like, hey, can you help us out with like something technological? Like I think they're going to be working at Capsule Corp and Bulma could be like, hey, can I get another set of eyes on this? Like sort of like when Dr. Brief and her like rebuilt Android 16 took out the explosion device. I think he's going to be used in that capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do with Gamma. I mean, because remember, he can rebuild Gamma too if he wanted to bring him back. But Gamma 1 still is alive. And then moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we had him sort of fill the role of like, well, not replace, but like keep the role of somebody like TN or something, where he comes in like periodically and helps out with stuff.
Yeah, like Zuno. Michael Orlando actually brought up a pretty cool point here. This is your thinking, bro. He wrote, since we don't know what Gohan studies, do we think his studying of butterflies and their transformation relates to discovering new forms? Like, a worm becoming a butterfly. That's a beautiful little analogy. I don't want to say it's not that deep because I hate when people say that shit, but I could totally see that possibly being the case.
There is a part. This is when Piccolo first goes to see Gohan at his house when he's like writing his report or whatever. First of all, his report's on bugs. He mentions that.
Right.
Insects.
Which Cell looks like.
Yeah. And then Gohan's like, Piccolo. He shows him a picture of like an ant that can light up to yellow, a yellow ant. And he goes over to Piccolo and he's like, they just discovered this new ant. It can glow yellow like a Super Saiyan. He literally tells him that.
That's kind of a cool
So
little like, yeah. Well, I mean, let me ask you about Easter eggs. Okay, so by the way, I have one more question. Well, actually, one more statement. No more super chats, guys. And I'm gonna ask you about Easter eggs. Adrian Viramontes says, "Let's get my boy 2,000 likes." Yeah, hit the like button, man. He deserves it for the work he puts in for the fandom. I appreciate it because I have been working. Goresh, dude, people don't understand how hard this is. Like, I love my job, but it's not easy. Making videos and also getting information. But I was going to ask you, Easter eggs, okay? There's obviously like Android 21's an Easter egg. Gohan doing the Makanko Stop pose an Easter egg. Piccolo getting giants an Easter egg. Things from the past. What other Easter eggs come to mind that you did not mention in your review that you think are either funny or like a throwback to classic Dragon Ball, stuff?
yeah, so Easter egg stuff is definitely something I'm gonna have to go watch a second time to really get. But there was something else too in like the literal very beginning of the movie when they first show Magenta. We get a view of his desk from like his point of view for like a split second, and there is a picture. There's two pictures on his desk. I only was able to see one of them, but I can infer that the other one is Commander Red because that's his dad. The other picture was Commander Violet, so I'm wondering if that was his mom.
Whoa, that is interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, because that I think people forget about Violet. I mean, she didn't have much screen time in Dragon Ball, but it's funny because a lot of people, and this is all because of the original dub. Commander Red was the leader of the Red Ribbon. That's who the leader was. Dr. Garo was important, but he was the leader, and then Black killed him and became the leader. So hopefully the movie actually addresses. When you mentioned that, I mean, they know it's them coming together. White Oreo, what if Cell Max was 100% completed like perfect? Bro, I don't know, man. I feel like if he was complete, then nobody could stop him based on what Goresh said.
I mean, I don't know. Gohan beat him pretty easily. That would have been a better fight, honestly, if he was perfect and then they had like an actual like fight. Because I equate this Gohan transformation and then beatdown to Super Gogeta in Fusion Reborn.
Yes.
Super Gogeta appears and just like incinerates Janemba in like 2 seconds. It's kind of similar here, right?
Yeah, it's just let's just wipe this guy out, which I think some folks might be let down by. But I mentioned to them too. I was told point blank that the finale of this movie is not like Dragon Ball Super Broly. It's not Gogeta versus Broly. It's like a battle royale because you've got, well, not really, but it's like you've got Piccolo, Krillin 18, Goten, Trunks, and Gohan, and they're all trying to kill this. And now Gamma 1, they're all trying to kill this fucking thing. And then at the very, very end, Gohan just overwhelms everybody. I still can't believe it, dude. I saw the footage last night. I still am just in disbelief that we live in a world where a literal meme, two memes, one on Gohan's Bang and Gohan Blanco, have been made into an official Dragon Ball movie. You know how I have no words to describe that.
Talking about Easter eggs, also, I'm trying to remember. There's another one that they did. So the end of the movie ends with like Pan showing everyone that she can now fly, and she's like flying around, and it's basically it goes into her perspective. So you're looking at like the whole cast of characters from her perspective, like flying around. And at the very end, it shows Goten and Trunks fusing into Gotenks and doing it was the actual, like their fingers weren't like unsynchronized. It was a perfect fusion.
Wait,
but then then they don't show Gotenks.
Oh my god! You're fucking shitting me, dude. You're telling me that adult Gotenks is in, or teen Gotenks or whatever is in this movie and we got fucked out of it? That, bro, if Toriyama wasn't already a fucking troll, dude, I'm floored by what you just told me. You realize people have been waiting, people have been waiting for this shit for years to see like a taller adult Gotenks, and they fuck you out of it?
Yeah. I was like, dude, okay, now she's going to come around again. They're going to show him. And then they just pan to a different angle and they don't show him.
Wow, dude. that was done on purpose. I mean, that is purpose. I actually kind of like that because that reminds me of like Call Me Kakarot. Like that's like a little like it's like a little like hey, thanks for watching, but you're gonna have to stay here until the next time, or hang out until the next movie. Okay, well that's it for all the questions. Thank you guys again. I didn't want to hold you for this long, dude. I apologize if I did. Like I said, you could have checked out anything you wanted to. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate this movie, dude? And well, that's one question. The other question is, the 3D was not distracting for you?
No, again, I think the only scenes that maybe didn't need to have the 3D in it were like some of the non-fighting scenes. For me, what the 3D does is it adds an extra layer of immersion to the fights, right? It feels like you're more in the moment watching the fight live when it's 3D.
That's awesome, though.
But
I
think for a lot of it, 100%. Yeah, no, I love that part of it. But for like a lot of the like the normal character interactions and just like dialogue portions of the movie, I felt like 2D would have probably been a little bit better because of just the way that it looked in some of the parts. Just I guess it was just budget issues or something. Because again, the Beerus Planet stuff with the 3D didn't look the greatest, but yeah, the 3D overall though for the parts that mattered, quote unquote, I thought was very good.
Okay, all right. Well, that's it. That's as glowing a review. Well, I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but there's very few of those. Anyways,
again, the only big gripe I had with the movie, well, not even that big, but I felt like they could have handled Cell Max a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much like a debate point now because like they've really like people are like split. Some have said they want Perfect Cell to come back the original. Some have said they prefer a different. I mean, it probably would have been better if it was how would you feel if it was a brand new Android?
Well, I think if it was a brand new Android, they wouldn't have had the need to hide it for so long, right?
Right.
Like the whole reason they were hiding what it was is because we knew it. Like
it's recognizable. Yeah.
Yeah.
A surprise is not a surprise unless we're surprised by it.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly.
the problem is that we knew. I mean, we didn't know 100%, but people were guessing Cell all the way back to last year, dude. Like, it wasn't that crazy. So they brought everybody back at this point. So, anyways, I'm going to close out the stream, dude. Look, Goresh, thank you again for being here and spending some of your time with me and talking about this movie. We will talk again, I know, hopefully more often than not. And everybody check out 59. It was 59gaming.com, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So check that out. And then Goresh is GORESHX. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the links to that in the description. I'm going to edit like the description of the video. Cause I just wrote like, the Dragon Ball stuff. I didn't really write anything else. I sped through that. So I'll do that. And, somebody's asking why they stopped the rock music. I don't know why they changed composers for this movie, dude. Like maybe they felt like Sumitomo just wasn't fit for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really have a rock theme.
It was a superhero theme.
Yeah. It was more of like a Marvel-esque thing. Like, I don't really know if a rock song would fit a Marvel movie. And I guess that's the same thought process for this one.
Yeah, it probably maybe like for a comedy scene or whatever. Anyways, folks, we're going to close out. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great one. Take care of yourself. And I will see you guys in a couple days because the leaks for the manga are going to be coming out. Or not the leaks, the early drafts, so we'll cover that. But and thank you again, Goresh, bro.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.